Who?
You were rude to her staff. You put them on the spot.
Who? Angela?
No, her staff.
Her staff.
We
So,
will be talking about
Angela
that.
doesn't like me, but she still did what we wanted.
Well, you know, that's the way she looks at it. She didn't want to do what you wanted her to do. What she did is what she had to do and what was right to do.
Yeah, that's really what. Yeah.
She invested $600 in a round that she didn't want to get. She did that and then didn't tell you.
She went through all that trouble.
And it was there for a couple of months.
2 months ago, she got the ramp.
2 months. So she dislikes you so much that she didn't tell you. She doesn't even want you to get any credit for it. I mean, that would validate you and your techniques.
That's not good.
Yeah, I like your version of Teddy Roosevelt speak softly and carry a big stick and say, carry a big stick and scream.
Scream like a nut.
Yeah. People will see you talking softly with a big stick. They're going to grab that stick and beat you over the head with it.
That's right.
But what I like is it's been you've been a work in progress, sort of, not of mine, just me knowing that we have pretty solid overlapping middle ground where we operate very much the same and also in a complementary manner. And then you have tactics that I myself wouldn't use, but I understand the value. It's just not what I wouldn't invest as much time in as I did with other things that maybe, you know, you would have passed on yourself. But when you total up all those things, we both have gotten a lot done. I mean, somebody else should be saying it, but you know, what the hell. We'll have somebody on to applaud our efforts and give them extra time. So how do you think we've been doing? But when I pick up my morning paper, my hard copy paper, it costs $30-some a month. And that I could get earlier online, and I usually do. But there's just something about, I don't know, has been getting up and having a paper in the morning, creature habit. You know, when people say you quit smoking cigarettes, look at all the things you can do. Yeah, I quit smoking cigarettes in '86. So that cigarette money I'm not spending buys this paper still. There. But to see Laura's picture on page 4, and Jenny, good file photo. I didn't read half of the stories because I was about 12 hours behind that curve, maybe 18. How far we've come. Where it used to be, is there anything new this week at all? And when we started podcasting, we would find one, and on a good week, 2 things that were pretty important that happened, or, you know, steps, progress that we would report on.
I hate steps.
Yeah. No, you took steps with Angela Midnight and it worked. Hate them as you may if they get results. That's the same with people that don't like your tactics at all, but when you get results.
Too bad.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to even say too bad. That's
okay, sorry.
That's I mean, you know.
Here's our theme song. This is by my friend Jay, who died from heroin last year.
Lefty, bring it, watch what, I'm gonna get mine. Go do the crime, if you can't do the time, don't tell me how you're off and down. When you smile in my face, but you play me like a clown, and you fool bitch. So just step back, or I'm mad dap when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll! Washing machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly dis, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises, promises over the top. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll.
Who do you?
Who you wanna roll with? 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 Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll.
Too much fun.
We'll pay for it at the end of the podcast. You know that.
Winding down our 3-year run on Trenton streets. The streets are talking in Trenton.
You know, another year and we would have been in weird Trenton.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with?
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 Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with?
Who?
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with?
Whoa. Wow, it's amazing.
In the beginning.
Good to see you.
Our Vietnam veteran. We don't have a lot of Vietnam veterans here.
I'm watching you with that coffee. Hi, Danny.
What's up, Dan? Now, you know the rules, Dan. You got a mic. You get to use it. But when I see that sparkle in your eye, I'm going to tap Lefty on the shoulder. And his hand's going to creep over to the yellow thing there. I think Dan's probably in the top 5 count of people. If you added up all the times people have been to our podcast, Dan's in the top 5.
Dan's in the top 5. Dan's in the top 5. Dan's in the top 5. Dan.
So basically, it's who you gonna roll with. Lefty, he's not there. Jim, he's not there. Ken, he's not there. William Haney, he's not there. Dan Brady.
Haney, Bill Haney.
Yeah.
Don't forget him too. He was a regular.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Yeah, he is. He was.
Yeah.
I put that on Facebook, on I guess it's the event page, or somewhere, that William Haney is the #1 attendee of the podcast outside of Lefty and me. And the man had a stroke while he was at the podcast and didn't know it.
Yeah.
And you come with some stuff out of
Data.
Your military. Now, which magazine is this?
Data.
This is the
What's that?
I got data.
What do you got there, Dan?
Army Times.
It's the Army Times, and it has 3 interesting articles about the veterans committing suicide faster than they're being killed in combat, and also about they're cutting money for PTSD, liable to cut money for PTSD study at the VA, and also benefits for vets. Study of marijuana benefits for vets with PTSD may shut down, so the study may stop. And
Can I see that?
They're
Shut
asking
down.
us to disseminate this off the
What's up, buddy?
top of our
Give me
heads, you
something.
know? What's up, man?
Wow.
Jason Arnold in the house. Billy Huff,
Billy Huff.
a.k.a.
Everybody.
William Huff. When you read about him in print, he's William.
Good morning, gentlemen. Have you guys been down to the courthouse yet for Ed Fortune? Any news yet?
Yeah, we just coming from the courthouse right now.
Really?
The jury has just been sent out to deliberate.
Okay.
There's really no telling how long that may take. Hopefully, I'm looking at it not guilty.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this being totally thrown out. Before the judge, turn me down. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you're not the... Okay, go ahead.
All right. So before the judge actually sent the jury out to deliberate, he read them a list of rules and laws. And he really did a good job of breaking down the laws of what Ed is actually being charged with. The 2 counts of not witness intimidation, but witness tampering. Ed is being charged with 2 counts of witness tampering. For those people out there that have been following but still unaware exactly what the charge is, people still think he's, in trial right now for some kind of weed charge or nothing. But no, he's in trial right now for witness tampering.
Which carries
two
a
counts.
penalty of 20 years?
Yeah, Ed said 22.5. 22.5.
And the jury doesn't know this either.
No, that's the hurtful part. But,
So this is tampering. It doesn't
yes.
sound, in other words, if I heard somebody was having a case where they were accused of jury tampering, that sounds like what I was threatened of to be accused of at Ed's trial 6 years ago in Burlington County when the sheriff's officers did not like the signs I had. Because it was between the jury pool would walk right by me. That's where I stationed myself.
Yeah, jury
tampering.
tampering.
But I'm talking about if I had thought, holy crap, this could be 20 years. I wouldn't have been there. But the jury would not know. So
Right.
for Ed, it almost sounds like, yeah, he's lucky it's not a pot charge. You know what I mean? Is that what they're going to be thinking? At least it's not the pot charges that he's got to worry about.
Nah, but really, when the judge,
I don't think they're gonna
when
think
the
it's
judge
serious
was
enough.
reading down
I'm
like
worried.
the criteria of the charges in which he's being charged with, the witness tampering, it basically he would have to done 1 out of 4 things, and that would have been conducting himself in a way that would have the witness not come to court. That's 1. Conduct himself in a way that would force the witness to give a false statement. That's 2. 3 would conduct itself in a way that the witness would somehow lie on the testimony or something like that. And it was another one, a threat of force or something of that nature. And the judge also broke down the threat of force because a couple days ago, the prosecution actually tried to use that some kind of loophole that they were saying what Ed did with sending the packages could be used as a threat of force. But today the judge, he really broke down what it means, how it could be classified as a threat of force. And once again, Ed did not fall under that, stipulation or whatever.
For those that don't know, Ed did send letters to the neighbors of the rat.
Yeah, and even the mail that he sent to the neighbors, it wasn't nothing that was in the other packages. He basically sent the flyer for the Bordentown Neighborhood Crime Watch, something like that.
Oh yeah, it wasn't an abusive over the edge
Right,
thing. It was just that he was going direct like that. And
The only really crippling part that I see that hopefully the jury is able to see through is how the prosecution really coached the witnesses. I was there
how could you tell? No, I don't know. I wasn't there. I was there the first 2 days, and that was
the way in which the father of the said witness, the way he conveyed his testimony in a way that he was so shockingly terrified for his life and the life of his family and things of that nature. You're getting a package in the mail that has nothing threatening, nothing even insinuating that violence is going to occur to you or your family, but yet he boosted these feelings up in his thoughts and all of this other stuff.
I think enough people on the jury should see
Yes,
that.
definitely.
They didn't impress me as prosecution the time I was watching them.
And another thing I would expect the jury to ask themselves, like, what the hell is going on here? Every bit and piece of evidence is completely blacked out with just maybe a few words or something on it. And every time when Ed was on the bench trying to give his testimony, everything that he said was cut short. Like he couldn't explain nothing. Everything had to be a strictly yes or no answer. And like, to be in the jury and witness this, to hear this, to see this, you just have to ask yourself, like, what really is going on here? Like, why isn't this man allowed to talk? Like, what is this case really about? The prosecution is forcing everyone to just look at the law from a certain perspective.
What was Ed's demeanor when he was being told to just say yes or no? I mean, how did the jury see him react?
Well,
in other words, he didn't stomp his foot or anything.
Nothing like that.
Because I thought he was doing great at the time.
All throughout the trial, Ed insinuated certain ways that to convey to the jury that a lot of evidence is not being presented to you. And even at the start of the court date, when he got on the stand and he had to like raise his hand and do the whole oath and everything, he couldn't do it because he said, at least if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to say this, take the whole truth part out. Like, I will tell the truth, but I'm not allowed to.
Because I've been saying that for years,
for real,
starting with John Wilson's trial.
And
because you can't say the whole truth, can you, Jim?
No, you're told what not to say, what not to say, and then you're asked to put your hand on the Bible and swear before God and who you swear to, that you're afraid of, and say that you're going to tell the whole truth. And I always wondered what happened if somebody actually at that time said, I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, but you know as well as I do that I'm not allowed to tell the whole truth.
You're not going to get that far. You're not going to get that far.
They better have their finger on the mic, on the mute button at that exact second, or just simply stand up and
It was good that Ed started it off like that because.
But he got it out there. That's awesome.
The jury could see like so much stuff is being hidden.
That's all he really needed to do. And now what you're talking about is actually fairly good plan to reach them as people that they're not stupid.
Right. Exactly.
And that they're seeing that, and that is in their mind. And he's had good courtroom demeanor.
He knows what he's doing.
The whole time.
He says, "I wish I had a bong," and then he says, "If I'd be doing this much smoother if I had a bong."
Yeah, that's B-O-N-G, bong, not with a B, the other word that we don't say here.
And then he said, "Well, we do have a medical marijuana program." Objection! Like they wouldn't even let him talk about medical marijuana in New Jersey. That was an objection. Like we don't have a program in New Jersey. Whatever.
Well, that wasn't relative to the case. They probably would.
I mean, but it was really impressive to see how Ed kept his cool throughout this whole thing.
Man, that's what I'm talking about, because that's what the jury
completely
saw.
muffled from everything. Yeah. So to even have a game plan of things that you want to say, but then you're constantly shut down to still come up with content. And I mean,
well, he knows going in this. It didn't surprise him.
Right.
So I like that. I like that you feel he's got a decent chance.
Yeah, I'm real optimistic about it, definitely.
So I'm guessing this is a case of the longer the jury is out, the better it is. I mean, because they're going to deadlock, if anything.
Right.
I can't imagine 12 saying innocent. So they're going to deadlock, even if it was one person all the way from one end of the possibilities to the other. But at that point, they'd have to retry him, and the facts would be the same. And eventually, the stakes are so high. I just don't like that the jury doesn't know that, because juries have come out. When I think it was John Wilson's jury that was really ticked off. 3 of them gave interviews on the steps as they left when they were told, and they expressed their rage that they did not know that. I hope that's not going to be the case, though.
Is the 20 years a
22.5?
But is that may be the max? But when they get him in, could he be found guilty and they could say time served?
Well, that would count towards it, but I don't even like to consider that. You know,
Well, look at-
I only entertain the fantasy that when I say fantasy, because it hasn't happened yet. My dinner is a fantasy right now. I don't know what I'm having.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm just saying that I don't know why, Dan. It's just hard for me to think. Okay, if he's found guilty, it's not a conversation I'm going to be part of. I'll listen to it.
But when it comes time for the
Look at somebody else. I just told you I'm not going to talk to you. You know, it's a good point. You want to know what is happened, how much time.
what can happen, okay.
Okay, what'll happen is
like, you know,
he's
could
going. Okay, he'll appeal, and then they're going to try to use that first, what would have been a conviction, as a way to get a plea bargain, so that he becomes worried enough that I don't want to serve that much time, and they start saying a much lower number. Now, when you think of something like 5.5 years as a much lower number, think what you were doing 5.5 years ago, and tell me how long a time that is since then.
5 years is a generation.
Yeah, I'm just saying that would be probably his best case scenario and he won't take it. And
Right.
The jury is out now.
Yeah.
It says here, Fortune initially hesitated when taking the court oath before testifying, commenting that he was unable to tell the whole truth because he is unable to talk about his pending cases. After being instructed by Mercer County Superior Court Judge Anthony Massey that he had to accept the oath in order to testify, Fortune ultimately took it and was questioned by his standby counsel, Christopher Campbell. Throughout his direct questioning, Fortune said that he used his social media accounts like a modern-day journal, and that all of the information he posted online about the witness was accessible through public records. Massey had to repeatedly tell Fortune he could not direct Campbell while on the witness stand. He once mumbled, "Ask a follow-up question," to Campbell. Is that a good Ed Fortune impression?
Yeah, it sounded
Ask a follow-up question.
real muffled. Yeah.
Ask a follow-up question. God damn it, I said ask a follow-up.
Objection!
I'm sorry, was that my outside voice?
Objection, Judge!
Assistant Mercer County Prosecutor Stephanie Katz questioned Fortune about comments he made in a Facebook video in which he says if the judge signed the protective order, he'd ignore it. I love that. It's great. Fortune says it was locker room talk and bravado.
Did he really?
He took one from Trump.
That's
Yeah.
Locker room talk.
everybody. That's
He definitely channeled Trump through that.
well, you know.
Hey, you want to take a shower?
He was ready for that one.
Yeah, he was. He was.
He was like, he had to know when she started that question. It's like he's getting ready for the big swing. He's loosening up his shoulder to throw that finger in the air, making a point, you know. But yeah, that's a pretty good point. And I know when they were reading something before, the police detective, the woman who gathered the evidence, was reading a statement made by Ed that told her to go F herself.
It did?
Yeah, they read it in court, and Russell, his brother, chortled sitting in front of me.
They also read the
know.
part in court when it said that Zeb Lapidus sucks dick for drugs.
Wow.
Like, yeah, Katz
Okay, that
read
would have
out
to be
aloud.
he S's D or something.
Then
here,
Ed
because
said he had to
there
cross it
could
out
be
because he
kids
couldn't
going on.
prove that he sucked dick.
It's-
No,
So,
S, he S, no,
said
ser-
No,
no,
Z
I know, but
L S D, right? No, ZL, because you can't say his
yeah,
name, right?
we need like a
ZL.
They've been saying his name.
Oh, we can say it now?
Oh, they've been saying
Okay,
it
so
in court.
ZL,
Yeah, you wanna
S is some D.
yeah,
Right.
right. I mean, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because they'll creep around here. We only got 3 more permits to go, you know, and we're done. We're coming into the home stretch. We can't start doing the touchdown dance before we hit the goal line. I've seen what it did to Leon Lett. We're not Leon Lett. man.
Leon Lett, oh my God. You're so old.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like football. Anyway.
Katz also questioned Fortune on the multiple letters and packages he sent to the witness's family and had prepared to send the witness's neighbors. Fortune admitted he didn't know any members of the witness's family and had never met them before, but said he had sent the letters because he was trying to serve the witness with a lawsuit, which is true. He's suing him. Fortune was the only witness for his defense due to the fact that he did not file proper witness discovery before the trial started. See, now, if he does a little thing wrong, it's okay, but if the prosecution does, it's like they have these rules that they use for him, but not everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, really? So he says basically it comes down to a couple of pieces of mail, Fortune said during his closing statements. I never once said I didn't want him to come to court. Oh, wait, this is Ed. I never once said I didn't want him to come to court. I wanted him to come to court yesterday. I wanted him to come to court today.
On the old country western.
No, I got to work on it.
He wishes he sounded like that, man.
It sounds like Barry
It's
White.
not like he's got his head down, looking out through the tops of his eyes at you.
I'm trying.
You know?
He's getting out today, and we're going to be smoking
Yeah.
weed with Ed today. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah.
He's getting out. Hey, Danny.
Yeah. So, is anybody there that would call the juries out if they were? And
What was that for? Why? Why? Why?
I don't know.
No, why? Answer me why.
It was a genetically endorsed behavior mode that my
Okay, that's-
grandmother
okay.
used to do it a lot.
When she wanted you to think somebody was firing off a round at you?
Jeez.
It's not the sound we want to portray in Trenton sitting here.
People have, PTSD and stuff, and that kind of got me. Yeah. Really. That was loud in the mic, just saying. I just wonder if there's a reason for it, Dan.
It had an echo. Makes me think we should have a band on Thanksgiving.
It's an option.
Okay. All right.
No, I don't know. Well, it's the part of me that says, okay, it's the last permit I'll be picking up. But I was talking with them. They did give us a permit for Thanksgiving.
Yes, they did. Got one.
Nice.
So we have
We're in.
a permit for the 23rd for the same hours. And
There'll be no people walking around on Thanksgiving around here, so we got to get in a lot of.
we can do what we want. But see, this is what I like about Jason and Laura having a plan, that the stuff that we are going to bring, it doesn't matter if somebody walks by and goes, "Can I have that?" or "You're giving I'm hungry," or whatever. We're going to have food that, if it can be getting to people who aren't going to a place that has a place for them to get a warm meal, usually some sort of turkey product.
It's going to be a warm meal, a hot meal.
We don't lose. We have actually a little bit of money to spend on it, so we don't want to have like food going bad or anything, but the other stuff, in other words, we'll have an ample amount of that, so anybody going by, fine, and the rest will, Burrini's Old World Market is going to take care of that, and we have some cash for that, but also just things, non-perishable products. What would somebody want? I mean, that might need something. Is it just a good pair of warm gloves? Is it socks, shoes, hats? It's winter's coming, present they can give their kid on Christmas, put it away, something.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
because what's going to happen now? This is 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
I'm serious, Tim. I really think a couple of rolls of toilet paper would work too. Some people, I know that there's a lot of folks around who ask for tissues and stuff.
Actually, no.
Ask
I
Stephanie
mean,
Katz. Stephanie Katz might have some, because she had some on her butt one. She did. She had toilet paper stuck to her butt on day one of the court, and it was disgusting. I was shocked. And you guys saw it, too. I pointed out. You guys saw it.
Is this alleged?
It wasn't a white flag, was it? Was it
Jason,
a white flag?
did you
No.
see the toilet paper on her butt? Yes or no?
I was
Yes or no?
a couple rows behind. I did notice.
Thank you. That's all you need to say.
I was aware that she had black, completely dark, midnight black pants
I
on.
never once
and
looked at her in the direction of her butt myself. I mean, I don't know what you
Yeah,
guys are doing here.
I know
in
that
court,
there was
like,
a discoloration.
Yes,
The
there
hell is up
was.
with
Thank
that?
you. See?
There
Yeah.
was something on the back of her pants that was not black like her pants, so there was something possibly attached, or it could have been a misstitching. I couldn't necessarily see the fabric, the texture of said object, if it were in fact a object. But
allegedly.
Thank you.
If she has a nice butt, Edward is in trouble. If she
Okay.
has a nice, if she was a prosecutor, right?
Let me
we're
tell you
talking
what.
about.
Ed's going to appreciate this when he gets out, knowing that.
Yeah.
Because he'll be
Anyway,
looking for that.
that's
It's a footnote
You know, it's
in
kind
history.
of, well, I mean, with the jury and deliberations,
A butt note.
I
It's a
would
butt
think
note.
we'd be a little more free to talk about this stuff, you know, I mean,
I
so,
can't wait.
so worried about what gets back.
Can't wait
you
till he
know.
gets out today.
Right.
So Fortune told the jury it was true that he made postings on social media about the witness and that he sent mail to the witness's family members. And he said, although he called the witness names and was rude, that did not make him guilty of a crime, and that the language he used is protected under the First Amendment. You're charged with convincing me of a crime, not being an ass, Fortune said. If I thought this was criminal at the time, I wouldn't have done it. At the end of his remarks,
This is what Barry White would sound
Fortune-
like in court.
Fortune began to ask the jury to send him back home to his family, and Katz loudly objected. Now, who the hell objects to that? He says, I want to go home to my family, and she objected to that. Like, what?
And then he said it again.
Good for him. She goes,
This is not a case of who done it.
Katz said during her final statements.
This is not a case about motive. It's a case about the First Amendment.
Oh, that's nothing like what she sounds
Yeah,
like.
it does. That's improvement. She's a horrible human being.
You're closer to Ed than Stephanie.
Katz told the jury that this case was about Fortune's conduct and to look at all the circumstances of the case.
No, he's exactly right. He was ready for just about every comment she made, and when she objected and he said it again, he did it because there's no penalties for it.
It's ridiculous.
And the jury's hearing that he wants to get back to his family. He has a family.
Katz goes,
He attacked the heart of the criminal justice system.
Katz said,
And he attacked the love of a parent for a child, and the child has for a parent.
Oh man, is she really?
Really, Katz?
You know, I got to tell you what. If you said that just regular voice, it would be actually. I'm equally objectionable. Just that you would even say.
All right, I'll
that.
do it in Katz's real voice.
No, I mean just read it off like you were reading it. What did she say?
He attacked the heart of the criminal justice system, Katz said, and he attacked the love a parent has for a child and the child has for a parent. Did Ed do that?
No, but see,
What?
the jury knows better than
What?
that. This is what right now they're
Hell
in the
outta here.
deliberations going. What?
That's what they're saying.
You
And
know?
did she have toilet paper on her butt? That was disgusting. What? What?
Okay.
All right, enough about the toilet paper on her butt.
Okay.
It was shocking. It
Now
was
we
very
got our-
disgusting.
We got our news director approaching. Daniel, you
Hello,
look at
Ken Wolski.
Daniel knew he could feel that his seat was no longer his to sit in as Ken was walking up. He didn't even look around. You know why that is? Because I did not know that Ken smoked his first joint with Daniel 54 years ago or
Wait.
something.
Whoa,
Right there.
Shut the front
these,
door.
Yeah, these guys right
Shut
here.
the front
yeah.
door.
Look at him.
All right, respond to that, Ken Wolski.
Well, he said it on the podcast. I could use his response, you know?
All right, we need a response from you,
I
Ken
found
Wolski.
that quite impressive.
That's shocking.
1966. Maybe it was only 52 years ago. What year was that, Ken?
I'm sorry, what was it?
The statute of limitations are all gone.
Yeah,
What-
you're
what,
good
What
now.
year did you and Dan share a joint that you explained to us on air before?
I think 1966.
Yeah.
Wow.
Could have been 65, but I'm going to say
Yeah.
66.
So when we
Just to
talk
say-
about somebody back, you know, that long ago, to still be around and here, first of all,
Yes, wow.
Ken, you're not displaying the amotivational syndrome everybody was
no.
told about all these years. Here you are still doing what you do. So they couldn't have been more wrong.
Did I tell you about the 80 hours a week I used to work in the steel mill to put myself through college?
No, but I think we could make a song about it.
And, you know, also I think long-term marijuana use, I think, really improves public health, you know, if it's widely available to people, especially in terms of diabetes, adult onset or type 2 diabetes. You know, the people who use marijuana for long periods of time typically have 1/3 less incidence of metabolic syndrome, which is the pear-shaped shape that especially men get as they age. So
That's significant.
and that's associated with the high blood sugar and the diabetes basically. So I think that it really can improve the public health. Long-term marijuana users are typically slimmer than people who do not use marijuana. So
Indeed.
Odd when you consider the munchie factor.
Right,
You
right.
know,
It's, I mean, it's counterintuitive,
after all
right?
those
When you say that,
Cheetos,
that it, you know, I was thinking about that last night, and it occurred to me that, well, you know, perhaps it increases your metabolism in some way, you know, so that, you know, the munchies are kind of a function of that, or perhaps it's one of the, you know, when you're paranoid, it makes you a little paranoid sometimes. When you're paranoid, you're always getting up and looking out the window. It's a joke.
You know, no, actually, there are people's houses I've been over at where you could see the curtain, seriously,
Yeah.
was slightly worn right where you walk up to
Right.
it, and it would be worn there. You know, it'd be like, you know,
So-
sniffing and snorting and
You know, it's a shame that
Curtain looking.
there have been so many lies that the federal government's been telling about
still going
marijuana
on.
for
But
so many
still
decades.
going on.
you
The
know.
same thing. You're still hearing about the gateway effect
Yeah, yes.
as a reason
Even-
to
even-
not go any further. you
Even
know.
our own governor, you know, he's been
Well, you know, listen, we have
he's certainly indicating his opposition to what the expert panel recommended with
yes.
their
Let's
support for
while we got
opioid
Ken
use.
sitting here, let's
Yeah.
delve into that because we got a lot of good stuff.
Lot of stuff going on, Ken.
We'll save the wheelchair defacing till after this because Ken will appreciate that. No, good.
I have a
good
guest
news.
coming too. Hugh Giordano from
Yeah.
United Food and Commercial
Union guy.
Workers. Yes,
Yeah.
a union guy.
Cannabis
He's-
union.
He's coming here with one of his colleagues, and
Okay, and we're
he's
gonna
Love
have
you.
a
He's
we're gonna
gonna
have
talk a little
we're
bit
gonna
about
have
what he's
we're
doing.
gonna have a call with Laura Barber around 12:45.
Oh, that's great.
We're going to talk
That's
with
great.
her and see how she's doing,
Mhm.
how things are. And I told her that we would talk about that beforehand. I read, and I knew when it, how it was a while back. I didn't realize it was 2011 when you approached Division of Consumer Affairs about the marijuana state scheduling. That's probably where I read it.
Yes.
6 years ago, and then revisited that with them once or twice since then. I think twice, maybe, or once.
We had a meeting with them. Chris Goldstein and I had a meeting with them in February of 2011 with Director Cagney and several members of his staff, and we were promised a series of meetings, regarding this issue because, on the face of it, what we were asking for made a lot of sense. That New Jersey has just recognized uses for medical marijuana.
This was the next year.
And
You were
yes,
there.
in 2010 it passed, and in 2011 we had our meeting in February of 2011. So 1 year after the bill was signed into law, we had this meeting to bring to the attention of the director of the Division of Consumer Affairs that there was an inconsistency in the laws. Because this law was passed that recognized medical uses for marijuana, it didn't make sense to have another law in the Attorney General's office to say that there are no accepted medical uses for marijuana. So, yes, he was very interested in what we had to say.
What was his name?
Tom Calcagney.
Now we have a different person
Yes,
now.
now it's Mr. Lee.
Yeah. No, Lee's not. It's actually not Lee anymore. It's somebody. Yeah, it's a new
Yeah,
person.
it's a new-
personnel
it's
turns
They
over.
keep-
It's
yeah,
been
it's
that
another-
long.
How about
you know.
that?
We've outlasted probably 3 people.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But each one
So anyway,
maintained
yes,
the scheduling status.
Yes,
Yeah.
and eventually, there was a administrative law course now, and also I've been working with this inmate, Mr. Kodonsky. We've been corresponding. When I first found out that he submitted this application to go through the
That was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, to go through the legal process to have marijuana rescheduled. I wrote him back. I thanked him for his work, and I wrote him back, and I
Serving a
offered-
life sentence, I believe.
Pardon? Yeah, he's serving a life sentence. Yeah, for a
King-
non-violent marijuana offense.
He's a kingpin. He's the modern-day Robert Plattstorm.
Yes, and he's right here at Trenton State Prison. I never saw him when I worked there, but
And not to say Robert's not modern day, sorry.
But anyway, he has sent me some letters updating me on this, and of course I attended the court hearing, the appellate decision hearing, and I thought it was going to go our way, quite frankly. I thought that 2 of the judges did seem reasonable in their questions. So I thought we had a good chance of prevailing, but then it just went on month after month. I contacted the lawyers, Joe Linares, and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, they haven't made a decision yet. It took them almost an entire year for them to make this decision. And of course, the decision was to overturn the original administrative decision, which was we don't have the power to do this. Now, why did we go to the director of the Division of Consumer Affairs? Because when I read the law, it said clearly that the director of the Division of Consumer Affairs in the Office of the Attorney General has the power to reschedule drugs, to deschedule them, to reschedule
That's what they do.
them.
That's all they do.
Right.
That's what
well,
job.
that's not all they
Well,
do.
it's one of their jobs.
It's very busy. I mean, they take care of professional licenses like doctors and nurses too. So I'm not saying they're not busy and that's not all they do, but that is one of the things that they do. It's clearly one of the things that they do, and it's said in the law.
Yeah.
And he came out with this, just absolutely, to me, absurd kind of thing that said, no, because the federal government passed this in 1970, we had 30 days in 1970 to make a change, and we didn't object to it in 1970.
That's why we don't have sports gambling.
So we can't now. We are disempowered. We can't make that change now.
So basically,
lies.
that was not accurate.
No. Well, this is what the appellate court decision finally ruled years later, that no, Mr. Calcagni or whoever is the current director of the Division of Consumer Affairs, you clearly have power to reschedule any of the drugs in the New Jersey Controlled Dangerous Substances.
Now so the victory that we just had was at the appellate division. So it had failed in Superior Court.
Yes.
And then went to the appellate division, and it failed 2-1 in Superior Court, I believe, which is what it needed to get to the appellate division.
I think it was just a single judge at the.
Yeah. In other words, when they have
Superior Court decision.
one writing a dissent opinion, it makes it easy to appeal. Because you have a dissent from a judge as well. So now the Attorney General is going to use that to file with the state Supreme Court, saying that there was a dissenting opinion written in this.
Right.
And he's putting himself in a really strange position to actually want to go to the Supreme Court to maintain an impossibility. And Bill Caruso weighed in. I asked about that on a Facebook post, a reply. And, he was saying, well, they'll probably be saying something like, well, we don't want to upset federal funding by doing this right now, blah, blah, blah. Or in other words, something other than what are they going to say? It has no medical value, therefore keep it that way. It's going to...
the question before the court, before the appellate court, was not to reschedule. They were not saying you must reschedule it. They were saying, no, you must go back and with the power to reschedule it and recognize that you have the power to reschedule it. You can't just punt this ball away.
Which would be...
you must go back and say, okay, now look at it. Don't say you don't have the power to do this. You do have the power to do it.
And it took years.
You do have, and you do have this additional information from the years documenting marijuana's accepted medical uses and the science behind it. So you must take that into consideration. So this is what the appellate court is saying. So it wasn't even that you must reschedule marijuana. That's not what the appellate court said. They said you must revisit that decision with the understanding you have the power to reschedule marijuana.
So it took years and a couple of court decisions for them to be told to review this. And you do have the power. Now the Attorney General does not want them to review it.
Right.
He's taking this to the Supreme Court to prevent the review from happening.
Yes, exactly. That's what he's doing.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. People do not get any of the easy nuances to what we're talking about. Generally, you have to kind of be watching what's going on, have an interest in this. The general public, when they hear that the Attorney General wants to maintain that it has no medical value, and they stop right there and think, how can he do it? They don't care about the nuances of why he may or may not do that.
I can't wait to ask that question.
That's our strong suit, and it's he might have to import Sarah Huckabee to explain that one.
I want to hear their answer.
At one point, I believe at one point our organization, CMMNJ, filed an amicus brief. It may have been with the original Superior Court decision.
I remember that. I believe it was.
Because I was trying to look for it, but I couldn't find it. apparently we did not file an amicus brief with the appellate court because they only referred to the one that Laura Barber, was part of, or Roger Barber, really.
She joined this this suit it mentioned in one of the
Right.
news accounts.
Yes.
I didn't realize that she had.
Mhm.
So, and she told me, well, Roger always talked about things like this. You'll have to kind of lead me around the discussion. I'm like, we just want to check in, say how you're doing, Laura. It's like.
Well, it really was great groundwork that Roger Barber did on this. To bring it to the administrative law court. I think that that's some of the problems that people run into when they get in advanced courts, that there is no original decision that they can refer to, like from an administrative law judge. Well, Roger argued this out at the administrative law level, and so then the courts had that information that they could rely on, and they could look at those decisions from the administrative law courts. So it was really good, and one of the things that the Supreme Court's going to have to look at is not only does marijuana have accepted medical uses, which I think is just self-evident, and that it's accepted for its uses, has accepted medical uses, and it's safe for use under medical supervision, but that it does not have a high potential for abuse. This is one of the things that the DEA has relied on, and that the New Jersey has relied on. They said marijuana has a high potential
without
for
defining
abuse.
what that means.
Yeah.
Right. And it does not have a high potential for abuse. It has a high potential for use.
Exactly.
The problem is that the federal government equates all use of marijuana
As
with
abuse.
of marijuana. And so, this is something that really needs to be pointed out, that the federal government is using words in a way that they choose to use them, and not by some kind of accepted medical, not kind of accepted definitions of words. For example, if I have a beer, I'm not abusing alcohol. If I smoke a joint, I'm not abusing marijuana. I am using a beer. I am using marijuana. That's what I'm doing. Abuse has pretty clear definition, and that is the continued use of a substance despite the fact that it is demonstrably causing problems to you. That's what abuse is. And marijuana does not have that. That does not have a high potential for abuse.
Legal problems. Legal problems.
Well, yeah.
That's about it.
It had legal
That is the
problems
greatest
sometimes, yeah.
danger.
They use that,
Right.
though. They said, well, you had a lot of legal problems with this drug, so we think you have a problem because you've been arrested 20 times for marijuana, and you have a problem, son.
But you're in luck, you can get free rehab.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
Suppose you drop a marijuana cigarette on the couch and it slides between the cushions, and
Yeah.
then you have a problem.
They had a problem. When I walked into the Division of Consumer Affairs, I took my medical marijuana, I threw it on the table. I said, now what? Schedule 1? Really? Show me.
Now, see, this is where we appreciate your tactics.
And they were like, duh, we don't have an answer for you. I don't know, go away.
yeah, that was very good, Lefty. I was really proud that you went up there and you confronted them with that. That
They were
was,
clueless.
yes,
They started lying to me. They started saying that the FDA only approves these. I'm like, what? No.
yeah,
Well, now they can go ahead and
right.
pretty much review it. Well,
so
if they're allowed.
Breakwater has bags now, and
I bought this bag specially so I can go like this.
See, it didn't shatter.
See, it didn't break. I didn't get arrested. There was no cannabis problems.
That's pretty funny. It bounced good.
It does bounce now.
So there's other stuff going on. But
Oh, man.
Tell you what,
What a day.
a quick version.
What a day.
What do you got going on, Lefty? I see a wheelchair over there. What was that?
Ken, I went to the OLS over here.
Office of the Legislative Services,
Yes.
which are very good
We
people.
talked about
Wonderful.
I
we
speak
talked
very
about
highly
this,
of
yeah.
them.
And with
they're nonpartisan. They are very helpful for
With
anyone
Just
who goes in
Cause.
to help
And
you. Yeah.
Lefty
Very.
had 4 people sit down and discuss this rationally
Four
with
people
him.
from OLS?
We sat in the conference room, and they explained the situation of how they get legislative offices for people, and that they follow the legislature. And they don't follow necessarily the ADA because the legislature doesn't follow the ADA. The legislature follows the grandfathered guidelines. If you're grandfathered in, you can have an office. Doesn't matter if you have steps or not.
I think I was telling
Right.
you that.
Right.
And you have to offer a solution. You have to give them an office somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you're giving handicapped people extra steps to go through, but they are getting an answer, but they're still going through extra steps, which they shouldn't have to do.
Yeah.
They should have less hoops
You know,
to
you've
jump through.
had some dealings with Assemblywoman Angela McKnight
Oh,
about
God, I feel
this
bad now.
because in Bayonne, her office is not accessible.
In Jersey City.
And, you know, I mean, I'm just saying it because, like, I want, you
feel
know,
bad
this
now.
is all known stuff.
So you found out that she is not required to have a ramp.
No,
That's
I
No,
found out
no, this is more fun than that.
this is great.
It's way
Ken.
more fun.
Okay.
What happened was, and I saw the video, and you know, I felt not sorry for the staff member because I've put staff members in a position thinking if you're going to staff, this is, and I didn't think you were like out of line or angry or anything, but this person was so uncomfortable, and Angela and I took to her defense, and it wasn't real pretty.
It was ugly.
Yeah, but then 2 months later, Lefty's now in a position, he's got the wheelchair. What'd you write on it?
I wrote on it, Angela McKnight is ignorant.
Yeah.
She has no wheelchair access. And
Yeah.
I'm wheeling this wheelchair into the annex, into the Office of Legislative Services. And they're looking at this, and they're like, okay. We have news for you, Lefty. We bought Angela McKnight a ramp 2 months ago.
Wow.
So
OLS did? How about that?
They are great.
They bought her, meaning they're in charge of the budget for
Yeah.
people too.
Yeah.
So they extended apparently $600 more for her to get a ramp, and
How about that?
and she got
Well,
it.
that's
so
a victory. That's a victory.
Thank you.
And
That's a victory.
you know, let's play Frank
huge.
Sinatra as he did it his way.
The
You
hard
know?
way, though. It's the hard way.
No, but this is like, I'm just pointing out to people all along the way, is Lefty does come under fire for his tactics, and even I explained to him that would have sounded better if you just said it politely, because everybody else would have said, "What an asshole!" when you said it politely. You don't have to be that cheerleader when you're that right. But I've watched him more.
What did I say?
No, I'm just. You know, basically, when Lefty's so right, he can just make a statement, and somebody else will say, that person's a real, you know, what you're not saying.
Douche.
Right. That's what they'll be thinking, even though...
Without saying it.
Yeah.
I like that.
But now,
That's good.
what's happened is Angela McKnight did not let Lefty know she had this. I think she was just waiting for him to come back, and it would be that, screw you, Lefty, there's a ramp, now go away.
Yeah.
You know.
Ken, I was going to chain that wheelchair to her office tomorrow. Tomorrow. With that information I have now, I have to rethink everything.
Well, there's 119 other legislators you can go approach.
Yeah, you could just change their names, you know. No, well, the thing is, you can take this to other legislators that don't have accessibility.
Mike Doherty.
Yeah. You know, it's
Well, anyway, so that's, I'm glad to hear
It was great, yeah,
I'm glad
great
to hear
news.
good meeting with
Ken, those guys are
OLS.
amazing.
Yeah,
OLS,
no.
oh
And
my
who's-
God.
I have tremendous respect for OLS.
and
They're
how,
so
and that,
helpful.
if I remember right, Ken was pretty much telling you about this.
Yeah.
And so you got to watch out. See, he'll follow your advice.
I will
too.
follow advice. Bad advice, I'll take it.
You know, well, I mean,
That
what
was
do you
good
got to
advice.
lose? You know, you can say, see, you were wrong, or, wow, you were right, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know, so
Whatever works.
basically, Ken, thanks for getting that ramp for Angela.
Thank you, Ken.
Because without you, it
You
would
give me too much credit.
It wouldn't have happened. Well, without you, it wouldn't have happened.
That's right.
You know, you were a gateway.
You're a gateway. A portal.
A portal. Yeah, we don't have a portal theory about cannabis, though. but,
Portal
you know,
theory.
I
That's
like that
great.
better. And no cannabis candy given out at Halloween that we know. One needle somewhere.
Really?
Yes,
A needle?
a needle.
Somebody got a needle.
Yeah, a woman found in a candy bar and brought the wrapper and a needle to police. And
What?
Dastardly thing. Yeah, my point is New Jersey put out an alert to be where they were apparently concerned that people would make edibles and mistakenly give one away as candy, because you know people
could
that
happen.
use edibles and
That
smoke
could
pot,
happen.
they don't know what's going on, and you know.
Stone people do dumb stuff.
I'm just saying,
Could happen.
like
Not
there.
intentionally, though.
It either didn't happen, or there's some parents that confiscated some candy, figure they like candy and they don't care.
I like the fentanyl in the cannabis. That's a good one. That's a real funny one.
To scare.
Who the hell puts fentanyl in their cannabis? Come on, really? That's some state level
well,
shit,
you know,
guys.
when we get crazy people. I mean, for other purposes, who puts arsenic in Tylenol? The person who got everything to be childproof. That's who. You know. I am old.
I remember that.
Yeah. Just be what? Tylenol? What? Yeah, that's where it started. Everything was you could just open it, take one, and put it back.
I was kind of disappointed. No kids came to my house on Halloween. So, you know,
Really?
I live on the end of a dead-end street in a quiet western section of Trenton, and, you know, the kids just don't make it down there. I don't know what they do there, but they don't come around for candy the way we used to. We used to hit that neighborhood up when I was a kid. Phew.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was back in the day, a double back in the day. That was, you know. But it's, I'm redoing a walkway. I showed you that thing. I felt really bad because I actually found a use for the cones I'm still holding on to. I got a new walkway going, and I didn't want anybody walking up, and, you know, so. And then I offered to Kathy, I'll sit out there on a chair just handing out candy outside that. And she thankfully said, no, don't. It's okay. I'll just leave the lights off. So now I got candy. Oh, yeah. Jimmy got candy. Didn't even have to leave the house.
So one other point I wanted to make about the appellate decision, they mentioned on page 8 that in 2010 New Jersey enacted CUMA, creating a limited exception decriminalizing possession of marijuana for medical use by qualifying patients who obtain the registry ID card. And that's what they said, but it really does more than that. It doesn't just decriminalize possession of marijuana.
Yeah, it goes way further than that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
They don't take it away.
It allows for growth, you know, quote unquote manufacture of marijuana,
Right.
the sale of marijuana, the taxation of marijuana.
The possession of it. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's what it said. Possession, yeah, definitely, and the use. You know,
Right.
You know, it's
They know you're gonna use it.
It's illegal to be stoned in New Jersey. You know, I mean, if you're stoned, you're breaking the law. So unless you're a medical patient, you know, we're one of the few states that actually has
big
intoxication, even if you're not driving a car, be an illegal state of affairs. So, you know, the use, you know, and the transport, of course. You can legally drive around in a car.
well, there's a clear, a clear medical uses for 12,500 people right now.
Yeah. They said up to 15,000, I
Well,
think
you
was
know,
the latest.
the fact that we're staring at
Sure.
potentially a large influx of new patients. With
Can we
the-
get Hugh over here? Do you want to come over?
when the recommendations?
Dan,
Yeah.
watch your...
Watch earphones. Earphones.
Earphones.
Take your earphones off. You know, that's the first time we ever got somebody before they got out there. Usually it's earphones. Well,
Hey, Hugh.
and they fly.
Hey, how are you?
How's it going, buddy? Good to
So
see you, man.
see you too.
You know one another, so this is
I mean,
great.
yeah.
Hugh and I, we met just on the street here, but we've known you for, several years now, Hugh, right?
Yeah, I mean, I approached you when we were getting into the organizing of the Egg Harbor dispensary.
That's right, yeah.
Because I think one thing that we wanted to do.
You can take it out if you want.
Oh, that's just fine. The one thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to really learn more about it, the effects medically, how it helps patients. Because one thing that we realized was that, look, you know, we have a lot of members that were going through.
Now explain who we are. I mean, we
I'm
know,
sorry.
but this is going.
sorry.
People in
UFCW.
China are
Yeah.
watching this.
This is excellent. So, my name is Hugh Giordano, and I am a union representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 152. And my main job as a representative is to organize non-union facilities. And I guess a little brief thing of why I'm here is because we do believe that medical marijuana and recreational marijuana will create great jobs for local communities. But also, too, we also know that a lot of our members have issues with past issues of when they were younger, they smoked cannabis, and now their life is constrained. So we also know that there's a criminal aspect that needs to be taken off that will help our membership. We look at the medical treatment of it. There's so many members that go on opioids and end up having issues where medical marijuana could help our members get back to work, have a healthy and cleaner lifestyle. But we also know that the economic values of it too. You know, as a union guy, I won't deny that Am I in it for membership? Of course, because I know what's going to happen down the line, and I think we all know this. You have big corporations, once they get involved, it's no longer about supplying good cannabis, it's about making profits. And we want to be part of that process to protect workers, protect the residents, protect patients, and also create an environment where workers are able to speak out on issues within the medical marijuana industry, because the federal government is so against it, and local governments are against it too, to some extent.
And he said something here that I have never heard before. The union is going to protect patients also.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I've never heard that before.
I mean, if you look at it from our standpoint, unionism is bigger than just our membership, right? I mean, we fight for the working class, and we do believe that when it comes down to it, the working class, if you're a patient in today's world, unless the states, some states have good laws and the other states that have not so good laws, and New Jersey is one of those, very, very restrictive, and I do believe that protecting patients is our duty to do, because we're going to have membership that will need medical marijuana.
That's great.
I mean, simple things such a lot of people don't realize, and I've done, and because of your website. First of all, let me tell you, the Coalition for Medical Marijuana is excellent. I've never saw a Facebook. I have never seen a group of people who use all their talents. You have the activist, educator. It's and you work together so well to get things done, and there's nobody in there that's trying to, I'm the man. You guys do such
No, I'm the man.
I mean,
I'm
you
the
are the
friggin'
man.
man. No.
But you do such a good job. You
Yeah,
know?
well, basically, Ken is the man who says he isn't the man.
I'm not the man.
And personally, I have a theory all through my life. I swear to God, anybody. I mean, I'm a carpenter and I'm very good. I'm a MacGyver-like, and every now and then, when somebody'd say you're the man, I'd go, I'm not the man. I've never been the man. I might have seen the man one time, but I'm not entirely sure of that.
Be the man when you're
It
the
was
man.
like a Sports Illustrated jinx being on the cover. If you accept you're the man, you're going to get slapped.
But I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
this
Well,
is
thank you.
what
Thank
you're
you,
saying
David.
is like been a problem for patients that do not pass a drug test if there's
Absolutely.
a workplace accident or
That's something you're gonna
or something.
do,
And to me, it got my attention when somebody, and I believe it was Michigan, who worked at
Verizon.
Walmart.
I know Verizon was one too.
But the guy was employee of the year, and he got canned because I forget what it was, but it was a routine test.
Yeah, well, yeah, I
And
think
it
he was
was-
an accident, and
Right.
then he had to be
Oh,
drug tested
right.
because
Work
of
accident.
a work accident.
Right.
Comes up
And-
positive, even though he never used marijuana while he was on the job. It was a very serious illness, and yet he got fired from that after being employee of the year, and that was a non-union
Yeah.
place.
Of course.
But now that you're right about, there is going to be some new business in New Jersey if legalization comes to pass.
Oh yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people are going to need workplace protection from
Absolutely.
social use of cannabis beyond medical as well. And
Right.
that's just, in effect, sticking up for the working class who have laws to protect them from any kind of illegal use, so that workplace rules should follow suit, that it's not necessarily going to be grounds, or you may not.
Right, and these are the issues that we think about as a
Right,
union.
yeah.
And the UFCW on a national level, we already represent cannabis workers in the medical and recreational field in other states: California, Colorado, Washington State, even in states that are just medical. For example, Pennsylvania, 3 dispensaries recognize the union without a union election. They said, look, we work with labor, so you're going to have 3 dispensaries in Pennsylvania that are unionized.
That's great.
Without a fight, without a fight
The
or
no fight.
dissent. Yeah.
No, it's much different than what happened here in Jersey.
Yeah.
But just real quick, I just want to touch on something. We talked about the workplace and medical marijuana and being tested. Look, and this is where your Facebook website and has really helped me as an organizer. It's been a tool for me to learn more about the industry, more about cannabis on a scientific level as well. It's amazing. A lot of people don't know that when THC metabolizes, it's inactive and active THC, right? So I think that there should be that we should be able to give, if we're going to start somewhere, if they want to test a worker for marijuana, if it's not protected, then we need to, as a union, fight to make sure that there's a definition between inactive and active, and that could save a lot of jobs. For example, if someone, I know on medical it might be a little bit more difficult because people smoke it more often, but I do think that medical patients should be protected 100%. Unions should step up and be the starting point of that with collective bargaining agreements. If we can't get the state house, then unions, labor, not only just my union, but all unions, to stand up for medical marijuana workers, make sure that there's collective bargaining agreements that say if you have a medical marijuana card and you're an active user, you cannot be terminated because of medical marijuana. And when we get to the recreational use, the talk is to treat it like alcohol. You know what? I don't want a fella, driving a forklift with thousands of drinking a beer. So I understand if an employer said, look, what you do in your own time is fine, but they need to be, there should be a test for inactive and active cannabinoids in the system, and a person should not be penalized for having a good time on Friday and coming to work totally sober on Monday. Yeah. We allow people that are alcoholics to come to work totally hungover, looking like, death. So there needs to be that, and the problem is, like you said, it's the mindset. There's been so much false information coming out about marijuana users, about that they're not productive in society, and all these false statements, and it's totally untrue. And I think as a union rep, our members are going to go through these things, and we have to be prepared to make sure that we can defend them. And make sure that we have laws on the books, not only in State House, but also have them in their collective bargaining agreements. So we are actually always looking forward to doing those things. And I think, I'll give you an example. I know I have a lot of information. I'm sorry.
No,
but
sorry for that.
We're glad for it.
I think that, I use an example. There was a dispensary in Maine, a medical marijuana dispensary before they passed the rec bill, where the rule was you couldn't use certain pesticides within the growing area, and this company was cutting corners and using illegal pesticides, and the workers tried to reach out and get someone, and they were ignored, and some people got fired, so they contacted the union. The union came in and represented them for free, and they weren't even union, and made sure that dispensary stopped using those pesticides for worker safety and for medical safety.
That should be more widely known.
Yeah. Is there a story about that? Is there a write-up?
Yes, there's an article about that.
I'd like to see that.
I can definitely send it to you.
That's good stuff, yeah.
But it's stuff like that. I mean, we have apprenticeships in California where the state and the labor unions came together, just like trades. They come together, they set standards, and that everybody that's working in a dispensary is trained and through that labor program. And we represent Oaksterdam. UFCW actually represents all those teachers out there.
Oh, that's
so
great.
we are part of this movement.
Well, you're ahead of the curve. I like that.
Yeah. I first ran into UFCW organizers in Washington, D.C. at an ASA conference, an Americans for Safe Access. So, just to have them come to a national conference from, one of the leading medical marijuana groups in the country was very impressive.
Absolutely.
And so, that really smoothed the path, I think, for other UFCW workers, in various states too.
And we can help. I mean, and here's the issue. I mean, we tried to organize the Egg Harbor one, and there was lots of resistance from the executives and CEOs at that time. And we approached it the same way that we approached the other UFCW locals around the country approached them. Look, this doesn't have to be a you versus us type of thing. We have the political clout. We know lots of people. We are built for this. We can get numbers out to support you, to help you, and we'll promote your business.
Yeah, to help you grow.
Yeah,
to help you grow your business.
And and I think that the reaction was so much different here in Jersey. When we reached out to dispensaries, we told them the same thing. Look, just recognize us. We don't have to fight. And look, if your workers are happy, that's what we want. But we'll help you on the political side. We'll help you on the legal side. We have the resources to do that. Mm-hmm. But it's unfortunately, I'm already seeing a little bit of the business coming out.
What'd they say?
I'll give you a couple never responded. Of course, Egg Harbor fought it. And we talked to another dispensary person And I don't want to make it, I'm not, it is what it is. It was a conversation, so I don't want to throw it out there. But
don't say names, just
it was, the response was, we'll never be union. Wouldn't even take our business card.
Sounds like Woodbridge.
Wouldn't even sit down. And you look out that and you look at that company too. And I did some research on them. They have roots in other states. They are bound to be a success.
Oh, Woodbridge.
And they do a lot more in the cannabis industry than just dispense and grow. So it's when I hear stuff like that and I look at who they are and their backgrounds are, because the one thing that I like to do as a union rep is look at the person who I'm talking to, what's their background, and when I see financials all in the back and business in the back, we know what the long-term thing's going to be. So as a union rep, my goal is to make sure that workers know in the cannabis industry, you do have the right to organize. You do have the right. I think the one thing, unfortunately, Egg Harbor didn't work out because we ran into courts. The NLRB didn't know how to handle it on the federal level.
It had something to do with marijuana being an illegal substance. That was one of the issues that they brought up.
So what happened was we went to the Labor Board, which is ran by the federal government. The Labor Board did say that they believe it's their jurisdiction to represent workers in the cannabis industry. We would have had the first actual real election for medical marijuana workers because the other places that were unionized were all accepted by the owners. They worked together as a coalition. We would have been the first one in the country to actually have to do that.
Yeah.
Fine. That's where you want to do it, that's where we'll do it. We tried to play by the rules and do everything right. It was during the time when Ted Cruz shut down, was going to shut down the government. I know there was a lot of talk that hurt us. And then also the attorneys that they got from the NLRB said, I can't represent my client because the state bar looks at marijuana as an illegal substance, which means that since I can't represent my client, this cannot go forward. And it kept stalling it. NLRB panicked, stalling it and stalling. And eventually what happens is, and this is a corporate tactic, they wear the workers down. They go at seeing the issues that can be fixed with the union to, you said you could unionize us, now you're not doing it, now you're the liar. And look, the Egg Harbor workers are great people. And I want to make that clear. They're good people. They're hardworking people. We still would love to represent them if they want to try again. Any cannabis worker that wants to reach out to us and wants to try, we'll help them.
How do you think?
It seems like such a bogus thing, though, that the lawyers couldn't represent, their clients because it's an illegal substance. I mean, medical marijuana has been around since 1996.
Right.
And lawyers have been involved in every step of the way. These processes. How could they say that? How could that be, an honest statement, a true statement that they couldn't? They could not, in this instance, represent people because of an illegal substance when they're doing it all over the country for decades.
It wasn't honest. That's the thing. It's, again, you're dealing with corporate attorneys. You're dealing with lawyers that know find how to every loophole. I mean, you deal with these folks too. I'm sure with the lobbyists from the pharmaceuticals and from the alcohol industry that fight medical marijuana and fight recreational marijuana. These are the people that you deal with.
Yeah, but they stay really unseen in the shadows with a lot of our dealings. You get to at least be upfront about it. What I wanted to ask you was, we're looking at the potential of there's 1,200 patients in the program right now, and there's consideration of including new indications that were, of course, recommended by the advisory panel. At some stage, there's going to be a large influx of people who will be qualified for the program. Now, at that point, dispensaries, some are going to be hard-pressed to keep up with what they need to do. It would seem, would it not be easier to do what you do with that being the situation? I mean, because it's almost going to start, I'm afraid it's going to get out of their hands. And there's going to be certainly more employees to take care of the influx. So it's going to be a business that's going to grow. Never mind legalization.
Right.
This is currently right now, and of course, it's with us pretty much all about patients. Even the legalization will help the ones who don't qualify. So you got your work cut out for you now, but I'm hoping it gets a little easier to do what you do when it becomes more abundant and the business opportunities are popping up everywhere,
Absolutely.
you're going to be busy.
And I can tell you that first off, I wanted to bring that up. Congratulations on the hard work of getting those 5 other conditions approved.
Yeah,
That was a
thank
lot of
you.
work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Long
that-
road.
that-
Yeah,
I
big
mean,
time.
especially with anxiety and all that stuff. That's such an underrated condition that people don't realize how bad that is for folks.
yeah.
And I want to say thank you for helping the folks that live with that. That was a huge, huge fight. And
It took a while.
And also, we are talking to the Assembly about some legislation to help us out a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't have to get to this point. And it's a shame that we have to get legislation to get these owners to even sit down with us and have a conversation. But we are working on that.
We know how hard it is to get people to sit down with
Yeah,
you. We
I
really
know.
do.
You guys, and that's why I
I
respect
mean,
you guys.
that's why we're here.
Yeah.
We'll bring our own table, damn it.
You guys, I mean, I think if any organization wants to see how to do it, I mean, honestly, I see the videos of you going to different police stations and you're like in the face, Ed, and then I see with your wife what you did, and it's just amazing that you and your wife had that much compassion, not only for yourself but for other people.
It was always about other people with Cheryl.
It was wonderful, and you have Ken, who brings the medical experience and that expertise. I mean, it's just such a good coalition of people.
We have a great core group,
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
there's we have our rocket scientist Peter Rosenfeld, who is a real rocket scientist.
Vanessa Walsh put that petition in for opioid use disorder. It was a masterpiece.
Kevin Harry put in three. These are just people that work with us, aren't really board members or able to get to all the meetings. But the core group, I'm glad to hear somebody else say it other than us, that we don't have 2 Ken Wolskis. We don't have 2 Jims. We don't have 2 Lefties. And, I don't think there are another Ken Wolski to have, or Lefty for sure. I'm a dime a dozen, but these guys, holy crap. And I think that actually you are really hitting the nail on the head there, that I think that's what I like best about the coalition is we can function as a group with different approaches, different ideas, and we make it work. It takes so much time sometimes,
Absolutely.
and the fight is not fair. But that's why, we're going to have our 100th podcast on Thursday to show up, because who the hell does that?
No, that's awesome, and we plan on coming up too that day,
Oh, that's nice.
bringing some
Nice.
stuff up.
Yeah, well, that's great,
Sweet.
And we found
Thank
out
you.
that there was doubt whether or not we would be issued a permit on Thanksgiving.
And what happened today, Jim?
We got a permit for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
Everything's good, so I'll be able to pick it up probably the day before or something, because
Yeah.
I don't know that there's going to be anybody. It's going to be really closed down.
Yeah.
But we don't need monitoring after 100. We have never. We've done everything the state police have ever told us or suggested with a smile.
Yeah.
And they appreciate that. They
course.
are actually some of our biggest fans.
Of course,
Yeah, they
of course.
are.
And I mean, and I think that, you look at the police unions. They're caught in a rock and a hard place sometimes too, because they think, well, it's going to decrease our membership because of the crime and and the prison industrial complex and all that stuff. But I think that now, I think there's a lot of young officers that are really seeing that, look, this is a bigger issue than it's been perceived to be, and people are getting hurt by it. And again, this is why labor unions can be a part of this coalition, because again, a lot of our members are going through these issues. I was reading an article, there's an article not too long ago that came out that in Canada, there's labor unions on the public sector are going to cover medical marijuana.
Yeah.
So that's something that in America that unions could do to step forward to help, because one of the things that I know in Jersey has been the issue is the costs, right? So the costs are out of control. People that are living with these conditions can't work, or they're on disability and they can't and it's a lot of money. And I think that that's something that can be talked about in the future too. Is labor unions.
I have a brother who moved to Canada a dozen years ago, got married and is living there. So I'm well versed in what things cost there and the legalities that they're going through. But even the stand-back approach, that the price currently is around $175 an ounce for really quality cannabis. compared to here. That's what he can get, and he can get it mail
Yeah.
order from Vancouver with absolutely no problem in Canada for people doing that. You know, you can be a patient and do that. Now you can just be an adult and do that. So we should be watching how that works out, and we should be looking at the benefits of what business is going to go on now in Canada, and quite frankly, tourism.
Absolutely.
You know, Toronto's going to be hopping.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not that far away.
It's such, you know, again, from a labor standpoint, you know, of course, the main reason that we want to organize these folks is because we know that the corporate masters are going to come in eventually, and it's going to be corporatized, and these workers who are making decent wages right now and might be treated like people are going to eventually be a number. But we also know that, you know, by growing the medical marijuana industry, by growing the recreational industry, this will create lots of jobs, which will boost local economies. So our unionized supermarkets, ShopRite and Acme, will be getting a flow now, you know, because people, and especially people that, you know, it will bring tourism, it brings money into our economy that folks need. And actually this whole, I think marijuana, really, cannabis, is going to be such a positive thing for the state, and I'm excited for it. You know, I think that, you know, on a personal level, I'm excited to see the changes and innovation and how it helps people, and not only the medical side, but on the recreational side. I mean, I much rather see, I mean, on a personal level again, I'd rather go to a baseball game and have people smoking a cannabis cigarette than drinking beer.
Yeah, sure.
You know? I mean, it's still your choice, but, you know, it's something that, you know, I see. But look, on a labor side, UFCW is committed to the legalization of marijuana, to the expansion of the medical program. No matter what happens, the medical program should be protected, and people on medical marijuana should be protected.
Now, Hugh, you're a national organization.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how do you deal with all the different states having different rules, like seed to sale in some states? Every state has different parameters. How do you keep up with all that?
Well, I think the one thing that's important to know, especially with the UFCW, is when we negotiate a collective bargaining agreement or contract, once we organize a place, we really have good people that are able to work with state laws while also providing the services and protections that the workers need. So I guess it does depend on state to state, you know, and the good thing is those people in those states will know the regulations very well and negotiate a contract that was in the legal parameters but allows the workers to get what they need, benefits from the union.
So do you have national parameters, or you have to have state parameters only?
Well, I guess we don't necessarily have a national parameter as far as, you know, what we want to do for collective bargaining, but I think it's basic. You know, cannabis workers are just like any other worker. Yeah. They want good wages. They want to know that when they come to work and they do a job properly, that they are going to keep their wage, that they're going to get increases, that they have health care, that they have retirement, and that they can, if something's going on, for example, like, again, in that Maine situation, they have someone to go to.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. You know, yeah. That's, you know, I've been a union worker all my life, 60-some years. And, you know, I've been a steel worker. I've been a member of the AFSCME, American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, CWA, Communication Workers of America, Local 1040. I was a Teamster for a while. And, you know, I'm just a big believer in unions. I've seen how much they help the individuals. The individual can't go in and negotiate his own contract. You know, that it is so difficult to do that.
Right.
And you know, here you have the power of an organization working for, you know, the individual worker, and I think that's one of the best things that I found about unions. And so I wholly support efforts to unionize. Certainly in the cannabis industry, I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing, just essentially to protect the workers. You know, it gives them a place to go to for grievances, you know, that they don't have to go and face arbitrary and capricious decisions of employers.
Absolutely.
You know, that there is some kind of fairness, you know, essentially, you know, that the lowest employee has as much right as, you know, the employer. So, you know, I think that I'm a big supporter, and I certainly wish you all the luck in the world in establishing a vibrant and robust union presence in the cannabis industry here in New Jersey. Here.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate that. And I want, honestly, and if the owners of the dispensaries listen to this podcast, again,
They do.
I want you to. I want them to reach out to us. UFCW Local 152. We've reached out to you. We we can work together.
Listen up, George.
Right.
You know,
Listen up, George. You hear me?
I mean,
Well,
He's listening.
there's nothing to be gained or lost by.
No.
There's something to be lost by not sitting down and talking about it.
right. I mean,
You know, this is where I get lost when one entity refuses a discussion. You know, I'm trying to sit back and see how this all works out, but I know that. Now, who was it that we shared the stage with? The UCW is there's like the state.
that was I think you did it with CWA.
CWA.
I saw
okay,
that.
yeah,
CWA,
you
yeah,
got
communication.
you all got
They-
really
they are
similar
good, yeah.
letters.
Yeah.
They're good people.
They
CWA
are,
is
they
good
are
people.
as well. It's I'd like to see open lines of communication and transparency so people can
Absolutely.
see.
And it's simple. Look, I mean, this is what I think every dispensary owner should do. Sit down, have a conversation with us. We'll sit and talk, and then let us talk to your workers. Give us 15, 20 minutes, and if they want to join, let them. Don't be involved. Let them make a decision on their own. We won't be negative towards the company. We'll show what we can. We'll say what we can do to help the industry, help the workers, help the dispensary, and if the workers want it, give us card recognition, and just don't be hostile.
So how
you know?
does it work? The union, the actual people who work for an organization can choose to be a member of the union. They can choose to unionize by a simple majority vote. Is that the way it works?
Yeah. So the way that you organize a union in this setting, if there's not recognition from the employer, would be the workers have to sign union cards. We need a certain percentage by law to file the NLRB, and then we have a union election. And by the time, from the time you sign cards to the time you have the election, it's about 2 weeks or so. But the problem with this process, and you know, it's funny how we all have activism in our blood. The process between the time you sign cards and you vote can be very nasty because corporations have these workers 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, right? We had to catch them at their home, outside, on the telephone. So they bring in corporate, and so instead of just treating the workers better, instead of just engaging the union and being positive about it, they rather spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on corporate attorneys and lobbyists to come in and tell the workers why the union is so bad. To me, it's common sense. If the union couldn't help you, then why are you fighting it, right? Why are you fighting an organization that can't help the workers, that can't help the industry? But again, I don't want it to even be that way. Like, I really, as a union organizer, I love the fight. I love to fight CEOs. I like to go against corporate attorneys. But with the cannabis industry and these dispensary owners, we don't want to fight you. That's the thing. We want to work together and really break some good ground here. Work together on the political side. Work together on the legal side. Work together, and you'll have numbers on your side. You'll have us.
And there's going to be a lot of sick people who would like dispensaries, especially, to be running smoothly.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that it's so great that your union is supporting legalization of marijuana
Absolutely.
and expansion of the medical marijuana programs because, you know, this benefits, you know, everyone. It benefits not only the people, it benefits the workers, and it benefits the owners of these corporations.
Absolutely. You know, we look at it as a team effort, right? And the good thing about the dispensaries, if we work together, is, you know, it will make your job a lot easier as a coalition too, because now you have, I mean, you'll really have us. And the one thing with our union is everybody wonders, like, you know, well, why aren't you throwing thousands of dollars up to help? Because we are, unfortunately, the way it is that the members' money is the union's money. It's the members' money, right? So we can't. So once we represent these workers, then we can push all this money into the movement more and have a real legitimate reason to say that, hey, we spent $5,000 on a campaign to push for, you know, recreational usage of marijuana because we represent the workers in that industry. So it makes more sense.
You know, I'll tell you, when you're doing that, and I run it by everybody, some people change the way they think of recreational marijuana. I refer to as social use of cannabis for adults. The reason is, actually, I've been a cannabis consumer socially since 1970, and I don't know, there have been times where I've recreationally smoked, like during a softball game, when we could or something.
Yeah.
But I drink socially, so I smoke socially, and it just seems the times other people, like I think Lefty's occasionally said that, and it rolls right off his tongue for the social use. And I'm not saying change your ways and phrase it like that, but try it one time and see what you think.
Okay.
You know, legalizing the social use of cannabis for adults in New Jersey, legalizing the social use of cannabis for adults in New Jersey.
That does sound
You
better.
see how it? I'm just saying, give it a shot, because if it's not through suggesting it that it might take hold one day. It's through people such as yourself trying it out publicly, and somebody hears it and they think they don't need an explanation. You know, it's like trying to get a new word into the American lexicon. I've always wanted to do that too. This is as close as I'm going to come. It's all words we got, but in a different order.
No,
I'm just mentioning that. I know it. I don't know how it sounds.
No, and
I don't know it all.
This is another thing about your coalition and why it's so good is because when you post your articles in your Facebook group, it's just wording, right? Using marijuana, weed compared to cannabis, how it sounds differently. There's just those simple lingo, and it makes a difference. So you're right.
I use the word marijuana more than I normally would, because we have a medical marijuana program, and I often start out mentioning marijuana, and then I fade into calling it cannabis during that same discussion, so people are clear that I'm talking about marijuana.
Of course.
Sometimes, and I've never myself really referred to it as weed.
Right.
I call it pot when I'm talking to people off the record.
Yeah.
But I don't call it pot regular when I'm advocating at all. I never have.
I say weed.
Well, I put a jacket and tie on, a suit and tie when I'm advocating too. So I got that down. See, this is where we differ.
Hugh, you're my favorite organization that supports cannabis. Favorite union. Are there other unions that support cannabis?
Well, I can tell you that
AFSCME came out and supported. Yeah, I was surprised. I asked CWA because I was a former CWA union member,
Me too.
but they did not endorse it.
No.
But AFSCME did. Did others?
Teamsters.
Teamsters.
They actually want to get involved with the transport of it.
Oh, okay.
So they're working to be the official transport.
Wow.
Which is nice because, look, again, I do believe that union members provide the best service because they have good benefits and wages, and they want to keep their job.
Right.
So I think that with the UFCW and the Teamsters union being involved,
that's huge.
I mean, that's millions and millions of membership right there. And this is why we feel that we could be such a great champion working with you guys as a tag team. Get things done.
And I appreciate it from the way your perceptions are coming. And that you realize what a great thing it is to help sick people, and then just people have their basic freedoms for social use. But what you just said, you bring a certain sort of power to the table that we do not possess, and we never will.
Yeah, right.
That's the bottom line right there. So I'm glad that I like how you approach it. But even if I didn't, I would welcome your participation just for the pragmatism of we need somebody with a big bat.
Yeah.
There's a big stick. We need somebody with a big bat, a regulation big bat.
Right. I mean, if you look at, and this is why I always tell people all the time, just go on Google and look and type in labor unions and common cannabis. And you'll see all these stories about how labor unions have worked together with dispensary owners, with activists, with patients, to go to these state house assembly meetings and push bills together, working together to get these things done. And it's really what the movement's about. I mean, everybody's a worker, right? Everybody's a worker. I mean, I do believe that, besides the few 1% up there. But majority of folks are working class folks. And this affects their communities. It affects their families. It affects them personally, on an economic level, on a social level, on a legal level. And it's just a perfect coalition. It's a good movement with good people in it. And I think the end results, if you look at from all ways of looking at this, I mean, again, from a labor standpoint, the economic results of this, the job creation results, the taxation, it's a win-win for everybody. And good people can finally win. And it'd be nice to see, and all because of a plan.
Yeah. Yes.
It's such a good thing to see. And it brings out the best in folks, too. I mean, I look at, your coalition to me, when I look at it, even from you guys have done such good things on the state level, working with politicians, working with activists, working with lawyers, even working with police officers. Yeah. I mean, you guys have taken such a good approach to this, and I think other states need to copy what you are doing. And that's why we had no problem as a union, as a labor organization, reaching out to you guys, because to me, you guys are the gold standard of the way we can get things done. on this issue. And we
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you.
absolutely.
We appreciate that.
And we want to work together with you. We want to work together with the dispensary owners. We want to get things done. I mean, we need to team up together to make sure that we can get these laws passed and take care of patients, and also do what we need to do on an economic and job creation level.
Can you unionize our podcast?
If you all sign cards, just as long as you're not management, I don't know.
Well, you know, I'm
do
probably
it.
never going to be in a position to avail myself of being in a union in this industry. Age-wise, I'm stepping back a little bit wise, but my vision was always, when this happened, I'd like to be the greeter, you know. I'd like to be somewhere where, like, hey, you want to go have Jim tell you stories? He does that 8 hours a day. He doesn't stop, man. You could come in, sit down, leave, you know, we'd break bread together maybe. But, you know, historically speaking, I would not mind being that person, and if it came with any kind of stipend, I might have myself a union card.
It's so nice to see, because, again, you know, in these dispensaries, they have their contracts. They have, you know, each job, like a bud tender, or, you know, they all have their job classification, and they make it. The union brings professionalism. It brings a sense of, this is real. This is a real job, you know, and it brings that credibility to it, you know. And again, the fact that we work with states, we created apprenticeship programs, we created standards to protect patients and protect the workers at the same time. I mean, it's just a win-win thing. And I think that anybody that is against unionization in the cannabis industry is in it for the wrong reasons. They're in it to make money and make profit and make as much as possible.
Well, there's a lot of that worry on everybody's part. What's legalization for social use gonna look like? And everybody's worried about the corporate interest totally taking over.
Absolutely.
And it's not unfounded. And I would think most of those people would like somebody to keep an eye on that, so it doesn't come all the way down to the workers, because a lot of people I know would like a job in the industry, even if it was just bud tending or working in a store or something. You know.
And I think that, you know, the one thing, and Ken brings it up, you know, time and time again, having that person to go to with a grievance, you know. These workers that are working in the industry, and you say they get this job, it's probably like, oh my gosh, I got this job, I can't believe I'm doing this, is great, I want to do a good job. But what if they run into an issue where they see pesticides being used, or companies cutting corners, not providing the service they're supposed to be? The workers are the first line of defense.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah, I mean, everything. I mean, there's so much stuff, and the workers are the first line of defense to protect patients too. Yeah. I do believe that, because if the workers are into it, which I do believe, again, based off my experience talking to these cannabis workers, employees, they're great, intelligent people. They're excellent workers, and they know what they're doing. They are professionals. But, you know, when they run to an issue, who do they have to go to, really?
Right.
You know, and it'd be good to know, I think every worker in the dispensaries, to know that, hey, if something does go wrong, I can approach somebody. But then also, you know, just on the federal level, you look at the Jeff Sessions of the world, who will make it an issue. And you know what? These dispensary owners could have the labor movement's muscle behind them to help them when things hit the fan.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
You know, I'd almost lead with that, or in the first 2 or 3 reasons, because that really resonated.
You said there's legislation that you're working on in order to improve the ability to unionize here in New Jersey?
We are just, you know, in the talks right now.
Yeah, okay.
But it's something that we are, you know, again, it doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have to be. It's not, you know, it's just making it easier for workers to know that they have a choice. It's not forcing workers to join a union like that. So I don't want folks to think that we're going for legislation to force workers to form a union. We want them to have the opportunity to hear us out. We want the same opportunities that the cannabis dispensary owners did in the other states. And it's a shame, again, I would love the dispensary owners to sit down with us prior to this and let us just sit down and talk to your workers, and let's work together, you know, and but I just think it's something that we can do. And again, you know, we want to work. If you guys ever need any help as far as legislation and stuff, you need people, you need numbers, you need people out here. You know, we would love to help you guys. You know, you just have to give me some heads up.
Yeah, sure.
But you know, we love to bring bodies out here and help you out. I mean, you're good people.
Then there may come a time.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I think that we, again, you know, it's labor unions and cannabis can do a lot of good.
We're looking forward to the changing of the guard in New Jersey here, to actually being able to put some things into motion that aren't possible, haven't been possible for almost 8 years. No surprises in store for Tuesday. We're 501c3, so we don't really comment on elections and who we want.
We can't endorse a candidate.
Okay, well,
we can't take part in elections, but we can talk about the candidates' positions on various
It's no
issues.
secret with their positions,
Yeah.
obviously, and it looks like we're heading in that direction, and it doesn't seem like it's going to hurt anything we're doing or anything you're doing.
Right.
It seems like we're looking at being a little less restrained.
Yeah, progress. Definitely progress.
And progress becomes more possible, but eyes wide open,
No, it's amazing, what you had to fight against over the last couple terms, and I'll tell you this, again, as a labor guy, as a union rep, we have so many members that are going through opioid addiction we have to deal with.
Yeah, sure.
And you have a natural substance here that could curb opioid substance, and the states have done studies on this and showed that opioid use has went down, heroin use has went down, overdoses have went down when medical and recreational cannabis was part of the system.
Absolutely.
So, it's
significantly.
We have
25%.
We have also just 2 days ago, though, our governor finally waded into the. It starts the same. It was on genuine purpose, and he sent off a memo, I believe, to the Trump administration about people hearing about how this could help fight opioid abuse, and said that this shouldn't be the case because the evidence isn't clear and the blah 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 blah, which is the equivalent of there's no FDA approved studies that prove it to be true, something like that. But with the stakes as high as they are, that couldn't be more frightening to me that he's in charge of a national emergency and our biggest health emergency since maybe West Nile virus or something.
No, it's horrible.
And that he's not considering that which could really be useful, and we can't get a seat at his table.
Yeah, no,
we cannot get a seat at his table.
It truly is.
We'd need your help to fight him if he was here for another year, but it'd be nice if it wasn't to fight anything, to help progress.
And that's what we're looking forward to.
We're hoping for that right now.
I mean, it'd be great.
I hope our assuming future Governor Murphy will pretty much at least not disappoint us or surprise us in a way like that. I know it's hard to maintain 100% order in keeping promises or things you say would like to happen, but man, it couldn't be more dramatically different going from a Governor Christie to hopefully a Governor Murphy. You couldn't go more from left to right.
He said the first 90 days he wants to make it a priority to legalize it.
Right,
I mean,
100 days.
And let's hope that, that he keeps his word. And you know what? And he's campaigning a lot on this issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go on, especially social media and stuff, they're really pushing this issue a lot.
He seems to be the first one to realize that there is support, and the increments that national support is taking, where it's 58 or 59%, and it was only years. And when you look at that graph, you say, okay, we are there. We're past the tipping point, and you want to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
And I think he does, but he also realizes that bottom line is this does help the budget too.
Absolutely it does.
And that's why he wants it quick. I don't know how it works at that level, but you can do something with this knowing it's coming in this year's budget and say, then I'm earmarking that. You just get to do the shuffle.
Absolutely.
With
other states have done it.
Yeah.
And any politician that says, well, we want to watch the other states. Well, how many more states are you going to watch?
Yeah.
You've already seen California roll an excellent medical marijuana program, and now they're doing rec.
Well,
you have Colorado, you have Washington State, you have Oregon, you have Alaska. You've seen it.
Yeah.
It's just scapegoating.
Well, I talked to the state police when I'm not in a hurry, and I wasn't in a hurry today. And one question from one of them I don't talk to as much is, what happens if this all gets shut down federally? I mean, it's going to be a lot of work done, and almost like, aren't you worried about that? And all I could tell him is I actually see a possibility that if they want to shut it down you want to cull some from the herd and say, okay, like gambling, okay, these 4 states have possibilities, the rest of you didn't take part in time, and we're working with that. There's actually that possibility that that might be the appeasement at that point. I mean, you know, you want to fight California's $1 billion+ they get, and the unions that are going to be involved.
Sixth largest economy in the world.
Yeah. So at this point, if they really wanted to put the brakes on, it seems to me the wisest thing to do would be, okay, everybody that already has law passed, do what you're going to do.
Grandfather.
But yeah. And if that happens, it makes perfect sense to do this as quick as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think you brought up a great point too. Once you get a lot of people's hands involved in this, it makes it more difficult for the federal government and the states to start fighting this. I mean, there was just a poll out came out that majority of Republicans now support legalization. Yeah. So it's to me, this is past a political. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, if a Republican, independent, libertarian, or green. It just makes sense at this point. It just the facts are out there, and I'm glad that folks like Murphy and even even Guadagno, even though her stance isn't as strong as Murphy's at all, at least she made it a point to say that medical marijuana program is important. It's too restrictive. So at least she did say that, but Murphy, of course, has the better, I think, long-term plan.
And she went that other step, and it was
and decriminalization, which
that's what I was
going to
say.
Yeah. Stopping 25,000 arrests in the state of New Jersey.
It's crazy.
I find that myself dubious because her support has never actually been anything other than a statement. We wouldn't have known of it.
Right.
Yet that statement carries a lot of weight to other people if, for some reason.
Yeah,
and you know, this was a question from the
Yeah.
state police. There's only 2 of them there, and Sergeant Exer is the one. He's been there a long time, and the other guy was asking me, "What about decrim? Why not going for that? Why is it not happening?" And I said, "Well, there was a bill, but it didn't even get brought up this session." He goes, "Well, why is nobody doing that?" I said, "Well, maybe legalization, but." He didn't seem to really get it, so I kind of smiled at Sergeant Exer and said, you make an interesting point, and, why it would be good to do that as well in tandem. You know what, I think I'm going to take your advice. Oh, no, my God, I'm not offering advice, because Sergeant turned right around and played with me on that, My God, what are you doing? Well, he's going to a podcast.
But I think what's great is that, even though the police officers here, they have to enforce the law, they still respect you guys. They still understand what you're doing. Yeah. And I do believe a lot of police officers believe that this is a criminal justice issue that needs to be responded to. And I think there's a lot of smart people out there today. And today, with all the knowledge in front of you, there's no reason to be ignorant to the facts today. This isn't 1960 where you're taught if you smoke a marijuana joint, you're going to end up in jail and dead. It's not the reality of life. But
the general public nationally, I was surprised at DeGraff to find out when we first passed 50-50. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 4 years, 5 years ago.
I think like 2014.
Somewhere
like
that we first got above that percentage.
Oh, yeah.
See, with Lefty back, we don't have a segmented program, but the news today, of course, was the marijuana ruling. Yes, I have hard copy paper in the morning. I can't start my day without it. I can't help it. And then this is Laura Barber. They used her picture and her daughter Jenny. I mean, we've been working with them forever. Yeah. So she got off work and she's going to be a phone calling guest.
Oh, cool. Great.
Great. You don't just stay, hang out.
Hugh also is going to help us distribute some of our wristbands.
Yes, my lovely mother-in-law says that she would love to support the organization and she's going to sell the wristbands. So that way,
I have a wristband.
Thank you.
That's
so
great.
that way we can raise money for your organization because
it's a worthy cause. I hope so. We're not very good at taking. We're not that. We don't get in touch with people and always ask for money every time we get in touch with them. Matter of fact, we go the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's if people like you can help us by simply making these hemp bracelets available. Yeah, it really does help. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I just
very
said
grateful.
they want your information, your contact info. So I put in Hugh Giordano, and it came out as Hi Giordano. So it's not Hi, it's Hugh.
It's Hugh, H-U-G-H.
Is there a website we can contact you on?
Sure. In fact, I have no problem giving out my private cell phone number.
Oh, listen up.
My phone number direct line is 609-680-5718. Again, 609-680-5718. If you want to see more on how the UFCW as a whole works with the cannabis industry, if you go to Google, just type in UFCW cannabis. We have our own website for that on a national level. It shows all the places that we represent. Like Bang Chocolate, for example, we represent those workers there, and it has a great story about how we work with those, and it also talks about how we worked on the political level and worked with dispensary owners as well. But UFCW Local 152.me website. But again, you can contact me on my cell phone. Again, if you're a worker, if you're somebody who wants to get involved and help workers organize in the cannabis industry, or if you're a dispensary owner, you can call me directly.
I have ufcw.com or .org. That works for you?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. UFCW. And your local 152?
Yes, local 152.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much for
Thank you.
coming today.
Thank
I
you.
really
Thank you.
appreciate it. It's great seeing you again. You was one of our guests on
Yes.
CMM and
Yeah, I
JTV
remember. Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was great. It was
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
Thanks, buddy.
thank you very much.
So much, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being part of our
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. A winning team.
Thank you.
And we move to Laura Barber.
Oh, you want to call Laura now?
Yeah,
Are we,
Lefty, to preface this, we both feel bad that Roger died December last year.
Yeah.
It seems like longer ago,
It
but
does.
he died so suddenly in December. And that we both went to the service and both independently promised her we were going to help legislation get through finally so she didn't have to go to school, to give her daughter the lunchtime dose of a sip of cannabis liquid that she's allowed to have. And for that, her daughter's not in the Lork school anymore.
No more? No more school for you?
No, she's at a little closer, Morristown, I think, and that she doesn't get her lunchtime dose. Laura can't get over there. Well, she can tell us about that. But that she joined the suit that got the court to say that the Division of Consumer Affairs in New Jersey must revisit their classification of Schedule 1 for cannabis because we have a medical marijuana law. A simple thing. That should have been okay in 2011. Here, 6 years later, Laura joined the suit, passed 2-1. I'd like to know how she feels about Christopher Burrini. And like Laura says, every time we used to talk about things, Roger, the lawyer, who got all this started, he was the one that would lay it all out for us, and she told me she's a little, not uncomfortable, but we've already had great discussion about that. She doesn't need to tell us about the nuts and bolts of it. Just, what's this going to mean for her?
How's she feel?
And just say congratulations, and at the same time, we both owe her an apology, so. Good a time as any. Well, we didn't get it done. We promised her, and we didn't get it done. Senator Nielsen Cruz Perez kind of dragging her heels on this a little bit, and then, yes, she did take part, but no, it's not going any further, and Laura is expecting to call, though, so we'll see what's going on. That's what I like about Facebook. You just give a quick message, she gets it, message back, and Jenny's 18 now. Did you know that? Jenny is no longer a child patient.
Hold on, Laura.
She's an adult.
Hold on, I can hear you. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on. Lefty doesn't have his skills straight after 97 podcasts.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Laura? Hold on. It's not working. Hold on.
I know. I'm just feeling like deflating. My shoulders are starting to slump. Boy, we hit our stride, and then we were looking back, and boom, ran into something.
It says here we're connected.
Of course, I say that, but I have no idea how you work your magic with that thing.
Sometimes.
But maybe whether or not Laura can hear us, I have my hard copy Courier Post here, and it's a great, I assume a file photo. It doesn't, yes, file photo. It's a really good picture. And as always, I read an article like this like I don't really know what's going on and see how the general public will perceive this. And I'll tell you, we got a lot going our way on this one right here. I mean, when you talk to somebody, there's no nuances in, we have a medical program, medical marijuana, and yet we have a classification that it has no medical value. Who doesn't get that? Okay, try explaining nuances to people when it's as simple as that, and we're talking about sick people and children. So this is 6 years in the making. The coalition approached this in 2011 with the, and this ruling mentions that the Division of Consumer Affairs should have done this probably back then. You know, perhaps they're well aware that this was going back to 2011 and that people deserve an explanation. It'll get easier for patients. I'm confused though, Ken. The review, yeah, I don't want to reach over and push that button. We're supposed to have a review. Division of Consumer Affairs is supposed to have a review. And the Attorney General wants to go to the Supreme Court to prevent that. That's pretty clear. Do you have any idea at all why the Attorney General's office would do that? Any guess?
No, not really, Jim. I can't imagine why they would oppose the power to reschedule marijuana. Why the Attorney General would say that they do not have the power to reschedule marijuana. I mean, it seems really clear in the wording of the law that they do. You know, New Jersey statute annotated 24:21-2 seems to clearly give the power to the Attorney General's Office of Division of Consumer Affairs to reschedule drugs. Now, you know, and it's consistent with the fact that we legalized marijuana for medical purposes, even though the federal government continues to consider marijuana, you know, as having no accepted medical uses.
That's true.
And does not allow marijuana, and can in fact come into New Jersey and arrest Lefty for having that marijuana right there. You know, the federal government can do that because the Supreme Court has granted them the power to come into the states to enforce their laws. But they have also said, the Supreme Court has also said, they have recognized the right of the states to determine the practice of medicine within each state. And furthermore, that states are not required to enforce federal laws. So even though the federal government has a law against medical marijuana or against any use of marijuana, New Jersey has you know, changed that law for the state of New Jersey, and I can't imagine why they would want to argue that they cannot change this law.
Laura, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, right. Thank you. Sorry about that. Had a little problem with my phone.
Hey, Laura.
Hi, Laura. Ken Wolski here.
I thought I heard you, Ken. How are you?
I'm fine, Laura. How are you doing?
He is our news director still.
And you're in the news, Laura.
You are our news. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Laura, I get the Courier Post delivered, and I just have a thing about having to have hard copy paper. I don't know. I mean, it's almost getting to an expense I don't want to have, but it's days like today when I get the paper and I see on the top fold, marijuana ruling could help patients, and goes on to page 4, and there is about a 7 or 8 by 8, 7 by 7 photograph of you and Jenny. A nice file photo.
I know.
Yeah, isn't it? And so, first of all, congratulations.
Yes.
I didn't know that you had officially joined this lawsuit. Is that what happened? Were you listed on this appeal?
Roger was contacted by the big law firm North Jersey, and what they had was a part, Kingpin, but they also did the medical part, and Jenny did that. And Roger did the, it's called an amicus brief. So Roger did the amicus brief, but he had no with the 10-minute arguing in front of the judges instead in front of the 3 appellate judges. Roger had passed, but I took Marley out of school, my other daughter, and me and my mom and Marley and my nephew went up and sat in the courtroom and listened that day. Of the, yeah.
Laura, are you on speaker?
Negotiation.
Are you on a speakerphone? Can you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because you're breaking up a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, I remember that. That was over almost just about a year ago, Laura, that they argued this. It seems I was really surprised that it took them a year to come up with this decision.
Right. They said that it would take a long time, but also when I talked to Joe Laniers, the attorney, he said, Laura, even though really don't get anything right now, it's just paving the way for when Governor Christie gets out of office and a new cabinet comes in.
And that's not too far down the road now. Well, this is something, the Attorney General, I assume has said that he's going to try to get this into the Supreme Court so that they don't have to review. How do you feel about that?
I say take it to the highest court and let's get done with this because basically...
That's the spirit. You'll kick his ass in the Supreme Court. That's good.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Whole world will see.
Your civil rights are always being trampled on.
Yeah. Well, this is something, at least finally, that saying it's just to be reviewed and to have that be fought at the highest state level, that says something in itself. So, obviously this isn't done yet, but it really, really does set things up for January 16th when we have a new administration. And I would assume at that point Christopher Burrini should fall on his sword and be done with everything,
Yeah, I can't imagine why the Attorney General would want to fight this ruling. It increases his power. First of all, it's a logical decision to say that the director of the Division of Consumer Affairs has the power to reschedule marijuana. It's not saying you have to reschedule marijuana. It's just saying you have the power to do that, and we're sending it back to you to look at this issue, knowing you have the power to reschedule this. Most state employees and gentlemen and people in state government, they want to increase their territory, their power, not diminish it.
Something's amiss.
Yeah.
It does not add up. But I think that considering all of that, there's absolutely no reason for the new governor to keep Attorney General Christopher Burrini around for even 1 minute. I would hope that he'd already have somebody in mind and hit the ground running when he is inaugurated.
Laura, what would you say to Chris Burrini if you had him for 5 minutes?
Or even a half a second.
I don't, it's horrible because I'm
You're
really
too nice,
not
Laura.
into
You're too
politics.
nice. You are way too nice. Go ahead.
Say it. Go ahead.
You're
say
way
it.
too nice.
Say it.
What would you
say?
Say
it.
No, really, seriously. I'm not, I really couldn't even answer that question. You know how quiet I was.
Here, let's play a game. Here, pretend I'm Chris Burrini. Hi, Laura. I'm Chris Burrini. What do you got to say to me? Go ahead.
Well, Laura, while you think about that, I just want to. I just want to let you know how impressed I was with this decision. That a copy of that decision I have in front of me here, And you know how much time they devoted to the entire issue. This amicus brief. This amicus brief really was central to their decision. You know, when they talked all about you know, the problems that Jenny had, and how marijuana helped her with her seizures, and then you know the importance of having this rescheduled so that she could have the constitutional right to an education that is not interrupted by this absurd requirement that that marijuana can't be given on a school grounds, you know. And so it really was a very...
See, that's what it is, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's that, you know, with Roger being away, you know, with Roger being passed right now, I have no backup. And even as school nurse, if she calls out from school sick, there's somebody that's going to give them kids meds. And it's just, it's very frustrating. You know, this whole, if they're going to treat it as a medicine, that I want every right that every other parent has.
Right, right, absolutely, Laura. And, you know, I was just talking about how smart Roger was, you know, to start this in the administrative law courts, you know, and then to have it progress, you know, because that really established clearly the kind of problems that Jenny was having, and the kind of problems that you faced, and that these judges recognized those problems and were very sympathetic to the problems. You know, it's quite clear, you know, in what they wrote, you know, how sympathetic that they were to your situation.
Yeah, and
I think even the schools are, to be honest with you, but they just have their hands are tied too.
They are. Yeah. They are. They don't really have a lot of choice.
Well, now, but of course, now they passed that law. You know, the new law that was it that requires all the schools to develop policies and procedures so that marijuana can be administered on the school grounds, at least. You know, they obviously...
Yeah, that in itself is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, it still creates a problem for you, you know, insofar as it should, you know, I mean, and it's really an impossible situation because it's not only schools, Laura, it's the facilities for the developmentally disabled, too. So, you know, how can a parent possibly go into one of these facilities several times a day to give them medicine? You know, it's just an unworkable situation for so many residents.
I don't understand.
Right. Now, you know, that oh, we can't do it because there's a law that says you can't distribute marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school. The law says it's school zone. But it's already forbidden by other state laws, and that's the state laws that the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act supposedly overrode. So, you know, you know, they were relying on a very flawed premise to stop you from going into the schools to give you marijuana in the first place.
Right. Because one of the laws that you have the oils on the school bus or on the property of the school. Well, that's what we were using. What I'm saying, went with the federal law and how one, and it was just a mess. It was just a mess.
Yeah, and so, well, you know, there's progress being made, and
well, Roger is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Wow.
And I know it's coming up on a year since he's been gone, and I know we've expressed this in the past, but Lefty and I both. We promised you the same thing at his Roger's funeral, and we weren't able to deliver for you. And it's
but we keep moving forward, so that
no,
doesn't matter.
because of you.
Yeah, you and Roger.
Yeah, you didn't fail us though. You know.
Right, but and we have more. What do you call qualifiers to the program? Did that go through yet? Or it's right on the verge of.
No, yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not soon enough for us.
Okay.
And I, by the way, Laura, am a registered patient myself now.
Great.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. I still look in my rearview mirror, but I'm starting to get used to it a little bit.
Yeah, the qualifying conditions were, the additional qualifying conditions were given final approval by the Medicinal Marijuana Review Panel, Laura, but they still have to wait for the commissioner of the Department of Health to actually add those conditions to the medicinal marijuana program. So that's what we're waiting for right now. That's the stage that we're in.
And we don't know what your Thanksgiving plans are, but Lefty and I are having a podcast on Thanksgiving. We're having turkey. We're having a celebration. It's going to be, I'll be here, and we're getting non-perishables that people in need could use. We're having a collection
Toys.
go on. And, if I know you're probably busy or can't do it, but want to make sure not for lack of an invitation. And we got goodie bags to go. I mean, if you don't feel like making turkey, our plan is we want to have a whole, hopefully, and this is going to be, we're getting taken care of by Burrini's Old World Market.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good eats. You're more than welcome. You don't have to weigh in. Just show up. You know where we are. It's a state police permitted gathering.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And, if you want to call in from somewhere else, we hope everybody's going to have a really happy day. Because I know we are.
Great.
Our 100th podcast, and then our regularity is over. Our Thursday podcast will have come to an end. However, now we get the podcast ended.
Forever?
No. See, here's the deal. The regularity is over. However, we get to podcast on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Friday, any day we want if the occasion arises. So if there's something going on in Trenton and people might want a more aggressive voice, we will set up here.
Flash mob.
Yeah, sort of like that. So, but the regularity, that ends on Thanksgiving, and that's more me. I made that pretty clear at the beginning that I could try to do one more a year. But sometimes the regularities, I don't know how Ken and Lefty. Ken does the monthly meetings without fail, unless there's something actually more important, almost always cannabis related going on. As a matter of fact, I got a meeting to fill in coming up. That was a bad time. Say that, but Lefty, his regularity is a lot better than mine when it comes to showing up. Not the other regularity. I'm pretty good there. And I just don't know how anybody does it like this. So I'm glad to have made it this far. The coalition's been actually a really growing and great support of everything we've done here. And it's showing benefits. And we get to talk to people like you. This is just the best part of the whole thing, Especially
well, that's how I met you guys, so.
Yeah, and so listen, we don't want to keep you.
No, I want to keep you.
We do.
Well, yeah, what else you got going on, Laura?
I started working. I haven't worked in 20 years.
Wow.
And I started with Bayada with a certified home health aide. And
Okay.
I do it while the kids are at school. And, the kids are doing well. We miss Roger horribly.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to move eventually to a smaller house. I can't afford the taxes. I can't afford the eating. It has to be done this fine, right? Well, it was sudden. It was just shock. We came home from vacation and it happened. It was a heart attack.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't something that we were expecting. It wasn't it was just very sudden for all of us. I think I walked around in a fog for a long time.
That's to be expected.
Yeah. It was a great loss to the community, Laura, and I'm just so sorry for your loss, too.
Yeah, I do miss him, but he'd be real happy about this decision.
Yes,
Yeah, he
would.
But guys, I'm going to leave on this good high note, and I do thank you for calling, and I'll keep in touch. You guys, I'll be thinking of you on Thanksgiving. I might give you a shout out. So,
okay, well.
Thanks for the invite, and I do appreciate it. But I'm going to head off now.
All right.
But thanks, guys.
Thanks
Thanks,
for being
Laura.
available, Laura.
Great talking to you, Laura.
Love you. You're the best.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Laura Barber.
Good for her. That's small success, big success turns into. I mean, it's what it becomes.
I've got to run, too. So, Anyway,
Well,
great.
this has been a good day, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it was really glad to see you walk up earlier rather than later today because so much was going on. You know.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay.
I want to make a phone call.
Who to?
Attorney General.
You notice I'm not saying no. Hey, listen, you're media. You are media. You know, it sounds like media for crying out loud.
The Attorney General. Press 1 to speak with someone in Citizen Services. Press 2 to speak with someone in the Division of Criminal Justice.
Did I miss my one? To hit one? One?
3 to speak with someone in the Division of Law.
I think it was one, right?
To speak with someone in the Division of Consumer Affairs.
Oh! Hello?
Attorney General's office, may I help you?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Lefty Grimes. You're on the air. Can I speak to the Attorney General or someone in his office, please?
Attorney General's not available right now. I'm one of his staff. How may I help you?
Okay, I have a question about the scheduling. I went to the Department of Consumer Affairs, and I'm a medical cannabis patient. And I showed them my medical cannabis, and I asked them how it can be Schedule 1 if I have medical cannabis. They couldn't give me an answer. And what I saw in the paper this week is that Chris Perino is actually fighting this, that he wants to fight and keep Schedule 1, even though we have medical cannabis. Do you have a statement of why he would want to do that, why he'd want to fight that?
So what you need to do is if you could just send us an email with your questions, would be the best way to handle this. And that way I can get you most thorough answers.
Okay, it's just about scheduling, because, you know, we can't have two different laws. We have a medical cannabis law, and then he wants to support the Schedule 1. So, I mean, it's a simple question.
So if you could just send me in the concerns in email, I'll give you an email address.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Yes.
Sure, it's citizens, CITIZENS, dot services, SERVICES,
Okay.
at NJOAG.gov. Why do I hear myself echoing in the background?
Oh, yeah, you probably got an echo here. Yeah, we're at the State House. We're doing a podcast from the State House here. So we're just trying to get some answers on our podcast.
All right, so you have everything you need then?
Yeah, I guess so. Is there a way I can set up a meeting with Mr. Perino? Would that be possible?
Just include that in your email if you would.
Okay. All right. All right, great.
Thank you.
What's your name again? Sorry.
Anything else I can help you with?
Yeah, what was your name again?
My name is Jeff.
Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. You've been very helpful.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Don't tell me what to do, Jeff. That didn't go as well as I thought. I wanted his email. I wanted his phone mail, his voicemail, to leave him a 30-minute message. Chris Perino, you let me down, buddy. Why would Chris Perino want to support Schedule 1? I don't get that at all. Frustrating. Very frustrating. Okay, well, let's get our final phone call of the day in here. I'm going to call Honeyb Thomas, who is sleeping in a pot field right now, as we speak. She's waking up right now. She's looking around. She's like, oh, sativa. I'm in a field of sativa today in Oregon. Oh, let me wake up and answer this phone call from New Jersey where they suffer for Reggie. Really? Oh, hi, Honeybee. Nice of you to join us.
Oh, good morning.
What kind of pot field are you sleeping in today?
Strawberry. Pop.
It must be nice. Boy, I tell you, we're fighting over Reggie here, and you're sleeping in strawberry fields forever.
Right, forever. Good morning.
Must be nice.
That's great.
Well,
you'll be there someday.
Yeah, someday, after Chris Perino's gone.
Don't give up hope.
You know, Chris Perino is our Attorney General, and he wants to keep things the way they are with two different laws. He's a lawyer, and he wants two different laws. What the hell kind of a lawyer is that who wants medical cannabis Schedule 1? It makes no sense to have medical cannabis Schedule 1. It just doesn't roll off the tongue either. What are you doing? Are you in the bathroom?
No.
Oh, okay. I hear toilet sounds.
No, you heard my freezer.
You know, it was a great show today, Honeybee. You know what? I went to the Office of Legislative Services today. They sat me down in a conference room. A big, huge table. I thought they were going to make me coffee. And we sat down, me and 4 people. And they were very concerned about this issue. And guess what they told me? Something I didn't know.
What?
Angela McKnight called them 2 months ago. And the Office of Legislative Services got Angela McKnight a ramp 2 months ago. But she never told us.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's what I said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, maybe. Well,
That's what I did. I was like, what? She got a what? A ramp? No, I didn't say tamp. I said ramp, right? You said ramp, right? She got a ramp? Yeah, she got a ramp. I almost crap.
Oh.
I'm serious. It was amazing. I'm like, why didn't Angela tell us? Why wouldn't she want us to know that she got a ramp? Because she hates me. She doesn't like me too much. I'm here with the wheelchair. Check this out. I rolled in there with the wheelchair that said Angela McKnight is ignorant. So these guys in there are looking at me like, you know, you really need to change that now. I'm like, why? Well, she has a ramp. I'm like, oh, shit. I got it. Here I'm going to troll this poor woman. Tomorrow, I was about to go to Jersey City with this friggin' wheelchair and chain it outside her office like an idiot. I didn't know she got a ramp. I was going to leave it out there. Now I'm going to have to apologize to her. Well, no, I won't go that far. I'm going to call and thank her. How about I thank her?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to hang up the phone with you and thank her, and then I'll call you back. How's that? Can I do that? All right, let me look it up her number first. Hold on. You think she'll appreciate me calling her? I doubt it. Why are there bees everywhere?
She might. Why are there bees?
I can't be friends with her until Tuesday because Michael Alonso is still my candidate.
Until Tuesday?
Yeah, I can't be nice to her till Tuesday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm still running against her. I'm still her opponent. Angela McKnight. Let's look her up here. I should have her on speed dial by this point.
I'm surprised you didn't. I know. I was just going to say, I'm surprised.
I know. All right, Honeybee, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Let me go thank Angela McKnight for having a ramp. I can't believe this. Sometimes, you know, last time I called, she actually answered the phone because our whole staff quit. So maybe she'll answer the phone this time.
That's great.
I'll call you right back. Bye.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Hold on. Let me check one thing here. Do a quick audio check. Audio check. Audio check.
Taters.
Mashed taters.
Mashed potatoes. Okay, you're going down.
We were actually doing that? Okay, we're good. All right, here we go. Angela McKnight. You want to call Angela with me, Jim? This should be a good call. 201. Here, take the red one back.
I really don't plan on taking part.
You normally don't say that.
I know. I missed her take part.
Okay.
This is
Good afternoon, Assemblywoman Angela V. McKnight's office. Liz speaking.
Hi, Liz. You're on the air. This is Lefty Grimes. I want to thank you guys because you actually got a wheelchair ramp. I didn't know that you got a ramp. I want to thank you. I just found out today from the Office of Legislative Services, you guys spent $600 on a ramp. And I want to thank you for having compassion for people in wheelchairs. I really want to thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yes, and God bless you. And I'll see you after the election. I support you guys, but not until Tuesday. I'm still helping Mike Alonso.
Okay.
But until then,
all right.
I'll see you later. Bye.
Okay.
Thank
bye.
you. Was that good?
no help necessary there, man. You cruise
She
through
does
that.
not like you.
That was Liz. That wasn't her. That was Liz.
Yeah. Liz doesn't like
Liz
you.
doesn't like you.
Liz knows all about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever
God,
confronted Liz? Did she ever answer the door? Did she ever have to answer the door?
I
when
don't
you
know
were there?
Liz. I thought she was fired.
Yeah, well, good. No, that was the right thing. You know, you want to thank somebody when they do the right thing, I guess.
She seemed so receptive to that thanks.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what do you really want?
She was like, yeah, thanks.
You know.
You're welcome.
She did not like you.
She did not like me.
Oh, geez.
You're welcome.
Honeybee, for a second, when I briefly heard your voice, I thought, my God, she's still on the phone.
She's still on the line. I don't like you. You're right. I hate you.
I had a minor heart attack for a second when I heard another voice chime in. Holy crap.
Oh, boy. Wow, that was great. That was really great.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you after the election.
You're welcome, damn it. Asshole. You know, you're really...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but success resonates. That wouldn't have happened if you didn't help them do the right thing. So, you know.
Those guys are great.
Sometimes people get a little better about being helped doing the right thing, you know. Matter of fact, she could have called you up and said, thank you for making us do the right thing.
Yeah, where's my phone call, Miss McKnight?
Hold your breath. It's
It's
coming.
And you know, and that they spent $600. I thought it was great. You thanked them for spending $600 that came from OLS in addition to their budget, their normal budget. This was added to their budget by OLS. You took care of it for them.
Yeah, not a big deal.
No, you paid for it for them because you got OLS to do it. You facilitated that. You were the conduit, the pathway towards $600 they didn't have to take out of their budget. You know,
easy.
I'll thank you for them. Thank you for doing that for them because they've done the right thing.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I actually had to censor 3 or 4 things I was about to say in a row there. You know.
Me too.
No, I mean seriously, and I'm like, no, not that either, not that either. You know, inside voice was very busy for a second.
That was a very rare moment of Lefty censorship.
It was good.
Very rare.
I was nice.
Yeah. And
no, you were nice. You actually were. That was one of the nicest phone calls.
Eric would know. You've been coming here forever.
You know,
so you would know.
No. Out of all of the what's the word? Like calls where you'd have a little bit of animosity or like some tension.
Yeah.
That was probably the nicest one. Like.
Yeah, it's nice.
She should call you and thank you for that. For giving her the nicest phone call you've ever given.
You know, basically.
The nicest phone call you've ever given.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I was waiting for something like, so I just wanted, I could see Lefty saying, and I just wanted to say, tell me what you are and aren't going to do. I pull the strings. You're the puppet. You know. But you didn't. You thanked them for spending that money, and good for you because that's not going to be your last success. You know,
it's our 7th ramp.
The more successes that you have, okay, you got to keep better track of your successes than you have with the I&E tour. I mean, eventually, at some point, if somebody said, "Do you have a list of all the police stations you've been to?"
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you really?
Yes. Right here.
Oh, see, man, you had me till you're pointing at your head like
Eatontown, Tinton Falls, Woodbury. I can name them.
Yeah, and I can write the alphabet backwards.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
I proved that.
No, you can't either.
No,
That's what I'm saying. That was one of my greatest embarrassments ever, and it's on film. You know? There's no way I couldn't write an alphabet backwards. We wanted to do a sobriety. I forget why. And
cannabis
it was
sobriety.
Where was this at the Cannabis Expo or something? So there's and I'm the sign maker, and I'm making a sign. I wanted to say Z, Y, blah blah blah, all the way to A, and no matter how I wrote it down, I screwed it up. I mean, I had to write from down here A, B, C, you know. And I had like 3 attempts, and man, you made me look like the fool that I was.
You couldn't do ZYX. You just couldn't do it.
Oh, man. Yeah, so anyway, whatever.
Whatever.
I got no shame. So good for you, though. I mean, I tell you, 7 successes, and it has nothing really to do with cannabis. I mean, it started out because of that, in a way. But I like, who gave you that advice? Don't connect the two. It doesn't have anything to do with cannabis.
Councilman Gary LaPalooza, very smart man.
Yeah, well, that was good advice. You know, it's going to just help you get more successes. They're Everything isn't about cannabis, Lefty. You know?
It is for me, but not for everybody else.
Moved to the forefront
Well,
after years of decades.
Well, that was me back at all the times I heard, it's not all about cannabis. And I wish it
helps a
wasn't.
lot.
Oh, here's another one. Oh, you think cannabis helps everything?
Yeah.
Okay, what doesn't it help? I mean, it almost seems that way. And every time something comes out on the horizon, more amazing, it's almost hard to keep saying it, Oh, another thing,
Another disease that helps? Oh, come on, really? Another one? Yeah,
Oh,
that makes
man.
10,000.
And you get Larry
So
Vard,
sad that people have a way to help themselves with these horrible diseases.
I know people that are afraid to take cannabis for their migraines because of the stigma, and they're afraid of it. They will take other drugs that doctors put on the earth and that pharmacies make rather than what God gave them.
Or the combination of the two. Sometimes it just happens. I don't know if it happens in that specific case, but it's that you need less of that other medicine when you use cannabis in many cases, even if it's not for analgesia. For some people, need a little something to keep the anxiety away, and you don't have to give it up. But when you add cannabis to it, you don't need it quite so much. As with everything, that's why it's so disappointing that our governor is going to end his guiding the state by trying to leave a reason for not including cannabis. I mean, at first it was, I didn't think about it or didn't know, but no, he's actually going proactive on the subject. And he's still within our foot range, Oh, I'm going to have some original signs for Thanksgiving, too, if it's going to be the last podcast, Just no stakes in the ground. I'm going to
This is the last podcast before our election.
Yes, this is. Next week we'll be talking in more certain terms. And it'd be nice to extend an invitation to the governor-elect to see if he'd like to come on one of our podcasts. Tell him we'd love to have him on Thanksgiving because we're going to, that shows what good guys we are and gals. And you don't know. Have we got that kind of credibility where we could just ask and somebody would say, sure?
They knew me in there. That's for sure. They were like, oh, yeah, we knew you were coming.
We are no strangers.
You're 2 months too late, Lefty. We were waiting for you for 2 months here. I'm like, really?
Wow.
That was crazy.
Right? You don't ask. No.
You got a good picture of that too, didn't you? Or did you? Yeah.
I should have taken a selfie with those guys. But yeah, this my Lefty cam. I got stuff on Lefty cam.
Yeah, you got that.
But yeah, the camera was like in my pocket, hanging out. I get better results when I go like this. It's not good. If I have it here, people are more at ease. If you have this, in
that
your
face,
face,
more tension.
It's like, so you can't put a camera in your face.
You must want to put a hand up.
Yeah, I'd stop. All right.
Well, when Ken and I and Jenny Storms met with Assistant Commissioner of Health, Arturo Brito, and John Schwarzenberg, Governor's Healthcare Policy Advisor, Health Policy Advisor. They were straight out. No pictures, not allowed. No recording, no pictures. Not even, we're having a meeting. It's not going to be kept a secret. They're not going to lie about it and say, no, we never met with them. And yet they refused a picture,
That's when you do the crucifix cam.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Or the glasses cam, button cam. Yeah, we'll be going there this year. Oh, yeah. So I want to thank cmmmnj.org for all their hard work.
Yay.
Everything they've done to get cannabis legal so that all you guys can smoke cannabis. Well, you're a patient, too. You're not, so you can't smoke legally. So you
Dan's
this year.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Are you going over Ed's Ed's thing after this? No. Here, grab a mic. Grab that. What'd you think about that so far?
Yeah, you were there.
You were there.
Fairly regular.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm hopeful.
Put that in your talk.
I'm hopeful. I really can't read minds, so I don't know what to think.
The jury looked pretty. He seems like he has them in their hand. He had 5 of them laughing that one time.
But they don't know the penalties. So, when they hear jury tampering, That sounds like holding up a sign you weren't supposed to hold up. That's jury tampering if it's between them and people saying something to a, so they're not looking at it
Witness
like
tampering.
Witness tampering. Sorry, they're not looking at it as 22 and a half years potentially. Yeah, and as with John Wilson's trial, MS patient from 6 years ago now, 6 years ago.
They're going to bring up all this stuff that you got from social studies in school, to support the state.
Well, I'm hoping for good news. That would be such a great win,
NewJerseyWeedman.com. I hope he'll be out today. How you doing, sir? Do you support medical cannabis? Is that what you're here?
Yes, I do. I just had a quick question.
Okay, go ahead. Here, I can't hear you. I want to hear you. I can't hear what you're saying.
It has nothing to do
Oh,
with
okay.
Yeah,
I can't hear you though.
Your speaker system is very powerful.
Yeah.
Do you mind if you can share with me what brand is that?
Oh, what brand of speakers that is?
Every time I go by it,
Yeah, they're nice.
You know what? I think they are Mackies. I think I bought some Mackies. They're self-powered Mackies.
But this is what makes it really.
And this is my Mackie board. I love Mackie. They're pretty good.
It's a
Mackie. Yeah, and this is all digital. This goes into my computer and it runs. Yeah, that's a lot. I could teach you a lesson. You want to sit down with me? I'll teach you a lesson for free. You got to be a cannabis activist though. You got to start smoking weed with us. That's
I give up on that 20.
Really? You used to smoke cannabis? Really? Did you really smoke cannabis? I'm just curious because I smoked for 35 years. I've been smoking cannabis, and I use it medically now because I was on OxyContin for 10 years, and I don't take any OxyContin anymore.
And you show up every week, where other groups they come one day, they go home. Every week, this man
Every
is
week,
here.
man, we fight for this. Yeah, but I'll be happy to talk to you after we're podcasting. When we're done, I'll talk to you about this. Come back, sure. What's your name?
My name is Bennett.
Bennett. I'm Lefty. Nice to meet you, sir. Yeah.
As he extends his right hand.
But keep up the fight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But yeah, Mackie's the best. Get a Mackie.
Yeah, they are good.
Where was I?
Weed Man.
We were talking about Weed Man, right?
Yeah.
We were.
All right. You were talking about Weed Man, weren't you? Free the Weed Man. So hopefully he'll be out today, and we all smoke with him. I got some dabs to do with him today, but he hasn't tree base. He says. That's what he says.
Oh, wow.
SativaCross.com, MagicalButter.com. We haven't done the Magical Butter song in a while. Anybody?
Yeah.
My stomach thinks my throat's been cut, as my father would say.
What's that?
I know he's going to see about a lovely young lady living on. That's my boy.
Wow, the Magical Butter song has changed a lot.
Yeah, right?
What am I missing here? I absolutely don't know where that's coming from. It's so weird.
I don't know where it's coming from.
Magical Butter makes your recipe so much better. MagicalButter.com. Magical Butter makes your recipe so much better. It's Magical Butter. Here we go, Jim. .com. Magical Butter makes your recipes better. Magical Butter makes your recipes better.
So much better.
Brownies, cookies, smoothies, sauces, soups, veggies, candies, salad dressings for your tossed salad, Jim.
That must... No, I don't do tossed.
Get your Magical Butter machine from MagicalButter.com. 1-800-424-334. 1-800-424-334. MagicalButter.com. Butter, glycerin, coconut oil, olive oil, avocado, sunflower, grapeseed, peanut, much, much more.
Much, much more.
Mucho. Mucho más.
Mucho.
Grande. Is it fully automatic, though?
Yes, it's computerized.
Real? No.
It's computerized immersion blender in a crock pot. That's what it is. It's an amazing
Is
machine.
it hard to use?
No, I love it.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so easy.
Laura Barber has one. She loves it.
How long does it take to know how to use it from opening the box?
You hit 2 buttons. You put your weed in, you put your alcohol in, you hit 2 buttons. Boom, boom, done.
Really?
See you in a couple hours.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah. Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Be dialing.
Yep.
Be dialing, people.
And it even has self-cleaning.
That's right. Just like my cat.
Yeah.
Nice visual there.
That's more than I needed to know.
If I have to look at that, so do you. That's a great way to wake up this morning.
Well, I got to say, though, I do not hear bad things about the magical butter machine.
No.
I know a lot of people that have them, too. And Garen Angel has been so good
Yes, he
to
has.
allow us to give these away.
He gave us 18 machines, Jim.
18 machines.
18. And he's given us money for the podcast.
I
on
was
Thursday.
leading up to that. I didn't know if that was please don't mention or anything. But
Ah.
Garen Angel is
He's
putting up
contributing.
$150 towards Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Coalition put up 100. I mean, we didn't expect any kind of budget at all. I'm pretty
No.
sure we're eating, but we're going to all get together. And, of course, we're talking about Thanksgiving, and I'm looking at our cohorts as I say this, that whether it was a conference call or anything, we don't have that much more time left, but we have a pretty good grip on what's going on, and we do have the permit, so there's no discrepancy there, and that's a great thing. We have the permit and nobody to monitor it. I mean, we are in hog heaven here.
Be no police here that day. We could probably do bong rips right here.
Well, we actually are legal here. We're 25 feet from any usable doors. I mean, I know that there's been some discrepancy about that for a long time, but I think we win.
Wait, if the doors are locked,
Yeah.
can we smoke right here if the doors are locked? There's no
What
use.
do we have to lose? They're going to not give me another permit?
I'm bringing my bongs.
It's called Thanksgiving for a reason. I'm not saying we don't have to be waving at the cars riding by, but we could.
No, I'm gonna do that too.
We could, as legal patients, we can legally smoke, and as people who are non-patients, they are allowed to sit with us. We are just not allowed to share. And remember the last time? Remember the last time somebody was ID'd? Remember the last time they asked for identification? No.
No. I don't.
Because it hasn't happened. We have a good relationship. We are harmless. It is Thanksgiving. I really expect it's going to be a great 100th podcast. And the 100th one. Great way
You
to
don't
go.
think they're going to have a Thanksgiving Day crackdown?
Yeah, right. Right.
Thanksgiving Day massacre.
Yeah. Really. Well, I don't, there's likely not to be. I mean, it's not like people are going to be strolling the streets and all. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be more people know where to find us, and we got people who know where to get this stuff to people who can really appreciate it and need it and deserve it. In Trenton, it's our way of saying thank you, Trenton, for putting up with our crap
For 3 years.
3 years on Thursday. You walk by, you don't know what you're going to hear. It's to the countless classes that pass by us while the intro music's going on. Who you gonna roll with? Who you gonna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. And they're going by, and we keep saying, well, we are a civic experiment. Yes, kids, this is what you have the right to do, So get together and you get to do it at school. You can walk out of class, kids. You can.
You get credit for that too.
But seriously, you think nobody's asking? They have to deal with it. And it says, well, no, when people do have a grievance, they're allowed. The Constitution allows that you get to, I think that's an important lesson, taking part. They saw it at an early age.
What's kiss?
Why
Oh, that's
isn't it?
that's a herb that they use. It's marijuana.
Yeah, right. Well, it's the Coalition for
It's a
Medical
dangerous
Marijuana.
Schedule 1 narcotic.
Oh, Daddy calls it pot.
There have been countless discussions about the difference between medicine and using something for non-medical reasons between kids and their parents from the times that how many hundreds of kids have passed by us in 3 years? It's unbelievable. Especially
groups, huge groups.
Certain times a year, actually kind of now, but more towards the end of the school year, like in May. There's like 6, 7, there's just like buses everywhere.
Lined up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And, we control what we say, and when the patients were using their medicine across the road or anywhere, or even now when we're a lot closer than across the road, we're all very careful to not make an issue of it that kids are going to necessarily, say, well, look, they're actually smoking there.
Larry Vargo.
Coalition for Medical Marijuana Board member Larry Vargo.
Hello, Larry.
Getting in the podcast visits while the podcast visits are still going on. Coming just in time for the sad part, though, Larry.
Yeah, we can't make you sad now.
Yeah.
Come join us. We'll make you feel like shit.
Yeah, we already had all the happy, fun stuff.
Yeah, no more fun for you.
Yeah.
No, we're not done yet. We're at NewJerseyWeedman.com. Happy Daddy Products. DavidVersusAutism.org. Blue Planet Biotech. Run New Jersey. Medical-Freedom.com. William Haney.
William Haney.
Miss you, William. Get your State of Compassion flags from Medical-Freedom.com. CannaSense, I don't know what's going on with them. You get your cannabis card from California with those guys. But something happened and one of the guys got arrested for something. I don't know what. So I don't know what's going on with them. But
Who got arrested?
Neil Schloss got arrested, and from what I understand, it was a cannabis arrest. So it's affecting a lot of patients because apparently they were helping patients with their California cards.
Uh-huh.
Totally legal. Totally legal to do what they're doing, but you're not allowed to have cannabis, I guess, or whatever. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Find out by next week if you can, because
We'll have to call them.
Yeah, we will. So, New Jersey Grannies for Grass, Tuffy's Fight, Legalize for Lorelei, JacksonStorms.com, Prayers for Sarah, Prayers for Pete, Jenny's Purple Ribbon Journey, Jenna's Journey, Weed for Warriors. I'm missing one. I'm supposed to add one.
Yes.
I forgot what it was.
Who was just here last week? Last week or the week before, you were adding somebody. Is that the sound when you don't remember it?
That's the phone's dying. Yeah, who was here? Who was here?
Last week or the week before?
Oh.
Scott Rudder? No.
New Jersey Cannabis Business Association is not on here. That's who it was. Yeah.
Okay, good.
New Jersey Cannabis Business. Those guys are great.
Oh.
Even though there's certain senators on that group.
They have a .org though too, no? Or .com.
.org. New Jersey spelt out cannabis. New Jersey Cannabis Association. Or is it New Jersey Cannabis.org? New Jersey Cannabis.org. That's it. We have to write that down. Okay.
You're about to do the list.
You're a pothead.
I am a pothead. I forget all my stuff. And Jim, you told me something before about your wheelchair issue with Cheryl. I didn't know you got a wheelchair confiscated. You never told me that before. That was a...
Yeah, well, we didn't actually get it confiscated when we did the 1997, 20 years ago. Wow, 20 years ago today, Cheryl, we were going to Washington for the first time and had $98 in my pocket because we were going to hook up with Dana Beal there at the end of the Boston to Washington medical marijuana walk done by groups along the way, a continuous walk, but not for any one individual. And so I didn't pack up Cheryl's other wheelchair we were using because when I took Cheryl through New Jersey, at the end of that, Dana wanted to know could they use that wheelchair, and they got it all the way to Washington. I said, sure, we got a spare. So I didn't bring that spare down going to Washington because we already had a wheelchair down there. Turned out Dana was in jail and had the wheelchair, and I had to go with Cheryl to get Dana out of jail, and they wouldn't give the wheelchair back.
So they confiscated
Dana's wheelchair, which was Cheryl, and then Cheryl's, so that I went back with Dana and explained to them, that we explained that you're going to carry Cheryl in to get her wheelchair herself, and I'm going to sit there with her on my lap till we get her wheelchair. And this is like a PR nightmare, 20 years ago even. So, they said, here you
go, here's your wheelchair.
And it just was, another example of the power of Cheryl. And people didn't mind going up against me at all, but they could not, they ran and hid when she showed up. I mean, you know why. I mean, come on, you don't want to be taken to task by somebody like that, you know. It's just the honesty, the openness, it just slayed people. You knew, you know. I mean, first time she was arrested in '98, and Lieutenant Free, the highest ranking woman in Capitol Police history now. Boy, she couldn't believe it. You know, she just melted. I'll tell you, she was a stickler for rules, and Cheryl just threw a wrench into all their works that day. And when she had an objection with 2 police under her command for totally not going through standard procedure with Cheryl, and it wasn't just because of her disability; it was because they didn't even want to be doing this. When they said, she said, "What are you doing?" when she came in, and they were digging in their pockets, and it was like, because Cheryl needed a soda, and we didn't have change, so they confiscated it, so they were going to get change, and it wasn't, excuse me, or anything. It was like, Cheryl needs money for a soda. It totally, and when this lieutenant looked over at Cheryl, and Cheryl looked back at her with pity and went, "I'm sorry," and she meant it. I'm sorry. That was it, you know. So, yeah, it was. It's quite a while. There was something else I wanted to say. I forget it. It escaped me because of that. But oh yeah, you wanted me to find the tape of Cheryl's cry of pain.
Oh.
That goes back to 2007 or 8 or something like that. And I'm hoping I have some success. I realized that this was on the news on Channel 12.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, and so it was Montel Williams there. Now, I don't know if what they would do, but I'm pretty sure they ran that on that newscast as well.
I Googled it. I couldn't find it.
Well, I'm going up in the attic. I got a copy of it.
News 12?
Yeah, News 12, New Jersey. Well, there's others there as well that, you know, then in those days when Montel rode into town, people showed up. You know, he got the press out, this Drug Policy Alliance thing. But that is where I played her cry of pain, taped during simple healthcare chores that need to be done, and when you know it's going to hurt. And it was such an agonizing thing to listen to, but I did record it, and that was at Cheryl's urging, so that I could play it for people who needed to hear it when they said there are acceptable alternatives available, because that's what we're hearing. So that was my reply to the acceptable alternatives, and then when I said, and I think in Cheryl's own words, she can describe that they were not acceptable, and then I hit the cry of pain, and you could hear, oh, you know, like a wounded animal. And then you could hear me quietly go, quick as I can, almost done. And it didn't last long, but I think everybody that's ever heard it will never forget it. So I will certainly play that on the Thanksgiving Day finale. So, but anyway, still on the job.
So you're talking about Cheryl Miller.
I refer to her as medical marijuana patient number 1 in New Jersey. Not that people weren't using it for medicine, but the first one who demanded her right to be heard on this. So, fantastic.
I can't read lips like that. I can't. Say it. Hi, Ariel.
I'm sorry. I thought I was quite clear, Lefty.
Ariel Owens is here. Did you get your card yet, Ariel? You need your cannabis card, Ariel. You really do. Oh, man. You came for the sad part of the show. You're always here for the sad part. Sorry. Yeah. You're about to make you feel like shit. Because when you talk about dead babies, it's never a good thing. Dead babies is never. There's no way to put a spin on that. Even though Governor Christie tried to put a spin on it. But yeah, Sabina Rose is still dead. She's not coming back. And she died waiting for her medical cannabis card. It was in the mail. It would have helped her seizures. Would have saved her life.
Well, it's very integral in me explaining to Governor as he left for his inauguration 4 years ago, that we were not done improving our law. That was in reference to him saying we're done expanding the law. Coincidentally, the same day that Sabina Rose died on December 2nd, 2013, and no, 2012, right, because of December. And it got me to go to every town hall meeting I could that he did after that. And then he started slowing down town hall meetings, and then I supported Jenny and when she started doing the weekly Thursdays here, and then we took over, and was pretty much started with him saying that the day Sabina died. I have found that objectionable every time I think about it. And thanks to everybody who helped me make good on my promise to him. We have gathered will have gathered 147 times here, including the town halls that I went to, and the times that Jenny did the informational protests, and then we did that as well, and then all the podcasts. It's going to be just under 150 times we've taken him on, and 121 on a regular Thursday basis. So, very cool.
Hi, Tony. What's that? Yeah, why are you whispering?
Am I whispering?
Tony's here. What's up, Tony? Nice camera. What? Yes, you did. You got. I said, here's Ariel owns. Ariel owns. I always say owns. I don't know why. Because you own things. You own everything. That's why I say owns. Diane Ripatella. Gracie, Cindy May, Marie from Cancer in Pennsylvania, Jack from Colorado, little kid, Joan Ford, it's William's mom. She wrote a book about epilepsy, and it's brutal what she went through in the 40s and 50s. Randy Robertson had the Whipple procedure done. That's when they rip out all your guts.
Well, just to rearrange them, put them back in.
Yeah, they rip them out.
Well, how else are you going to rearrange them?
Cost a lot of money. And he really needed cannabis oil, and he couldn't get it in Pennsylvania. But he died waiting. Bill Buckman died waiting. Chad had brain cancer, and Ariel saw this. She was there. You saw Chad, what he went through, that poor kid. He was diagnosed with brain cancer, and his father killed himself right after that, leaving Iris to take care of Chad all by herself. And we went up there, brought a magical butter machine, and tried to help as much as we could. And Chad had 2 weeks to live, and he lived for, like, I think 4 months. Pretty good quality of life he had. But still, he needed cannabis way before that. Years before he got it. The oil especially. He was a patient, but he didn't have the oil he needed. The dispensaries don't have the oil. And he needed an incredible amount. You need a gram a day for like 90 days. That's your dose. It's like it's a 90-day dose of a gram a day. It's an incredible amount of cannabis. You're out. You're a zombie. But that's what the dose is, and after 90 days, you're supposed to be cured. He never got that chance, though. Jeremy is a victim of the drug war. He grew some really beautiful cannabis plants, and he was thrown in jail for it. His family was broken up for it. Couldn't get a job because of it. Started using other things instead of cannabis that he can get away with, because that's exactly what I would do too.
Other legal?
Yeah, the legal stuff you can use. You know, cigarettes and booze. Cigarettes and booze. That's what I'd be using. Yeah, I don't want that shit. Colette, that's Jeff's mom. She died from MS. You died from MS, though, right? Or complications?
Most always, to my knowledge, from complications. Cheryl died of pneumonia brought on by complications of MS.
Matt, Troy, from pancreatic cancer. Russ Perry. Roger Barber. I feel Roger's energy a lot lately because of all the stuff that's in the news, and I feel like he's still here in some way because his...
Well, especially today, this is his original...
Yeah, his words are...
court action that's resonating today.
Yep.
And provided an order for the Division of Consumer Affairs to do what nobody else could make them do.
Yep.
Review the Schedule 1 status. Review. Explain. So, thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger. I wonder if he was watching us while we were in the conference room.
I wish I could believe stuff like that.
I know.
I mean, I do. I wish I could. I hope so.
Yeah. Jay Arletto, Ella Bagelman, Hattie Koshel,
Michael Dillon.
I saw something like 1,400 people died in the medical cannabis program in New Jersey.
That'd be about right, yeah. $1,400 died and 1,250 remaining. That's a large portion.
It's over 10%.
Not a club you want. Not a club you want to join. Imagine that you go to join a club and say, "Well, yeah, you can get membership, but you get about a 1 in 10 chance of dying this year."
Yeah. Great club to be in.
Somebody made the point on Facebook. Well, you know, it's because hospice patients are allowed to be in it, and I had to make the point back.
Saw that.
I made the point back that no, actually, hospice patients aren't in it. They don't last long enough. The facilities they are in do not allow it. And the time it takes to get into the program outlasts hospice patients virtually every time. I would wonder if anybody actually made it into the program because of a hospice situation.
I doubt it.
Quite the opposite, but no, I mean, it wasn't really done in a bad way, making that comment. You would. I'm glad I had a chance to straighten that out. You know, we made 200 plus phone calls. When I say we, Marianne Bays and Vanessa Waltz, and they made the majority of the calls to hospice facilities, asking about this, and that's what we found. We were doing that with the head of the medical marijuana program at the time, John O'Brien, to try to show him this was a problem and see if we could address it. And then, of course, he went on to be a board member at a dispensary in New York, and the rest is evolving history. But not for all of us, because some of us have become that history rather than watched it unfold. Those that we honor and memorialize each podcast. That's who I'm referring to. But it's what keeps me coming back, and I suspect, the Lefty, that makes it easier for you to come back.
I do better when I'm angry and hurt. It kind of drives me.
Me as well, you know. I just don't like doing things because I'm hurt because of it. I thrive under being angry and getting something done, I'm sorry to say.
Hurt people hurt.
Yeah, sometimes being hurt drives me inward. Being angry, quite the opposite.
No, I hurt my back on the wheelchair tour the other day, and I got so mad that I started going in, trolling people. I was about to go home, and I'm like, "Oh, my back hurts. Now I'm mad. Come here. Where's your ramp?"
See if I can put this to use.
And they draw me back
What
in.
a weirdo.
Where's your ramp? Damn it!
Did the guy that you sued, did he ever end up getting a ramp?
Yes.
He
yes,
did?
The pharmacy got a ramp.
Excellent.
And Angela McKnight got a ramp. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I
you
heard.
that.
Yeah, I heard that part. That's great.
That's 7. We got 7.
7.
The hard way.
Yeah.
7 the hard way. I feel like I'm playing craps. All right, Honeybee, take us home.
One more real quick thing.
What?
This is really important
Yes.
for everyone who's listening, especially those who live in New Jersey. This is your chance. This Tuesday is your chance to say no to marijuana prohibition. We only get this chance once every 4 years. So everyone who's registered to vote, please go out there to vote. Don't vote for Kim Guadagno if you support marijuana legalization. We won't have another chance for another 4 years. So if you, and I'm normally not the type of person to say go out and vote for a Democrat, but
We're
if you
not
really
stopping.
support marijuana legalization, we need you to vote for Phil Murphy this time. I don't care who else you vote for other things, but this is the one time. Like, he'll have expungement for records, which is really important for people like me and my friends who have been busted for a tiny, tiny amount of marijuana. We need someone who will expunge, who will have full legalization. This is your one shot. Everyone, please vote. And as I said, I don't normally tell you to vote for a specific candidate, but if you support legalization, please vote for Phil Murphy. Just get it done this one time, and then after that, we'll be all set in the future. And we'll have no more arrests for marijuana, no more bullshit. Please vote this time on Tuesday. Thank you.
No more bullshit.
We still might have a little bullshit because bullshit always rises to the top. You get rid of the top layer of bullshit, guess what's underneath it? More bullshit. But we're getting rid of the biggest layer doing that. And
Yes.
the rest is like, you know.
So please, please,
doable.
please vote. This is your one chance. Please vote. We need every single vote.
Civic responsibility.
Yeah, it's your responsibility. If you care about this issue, if you have ever had someone who's been busted for marijuana, this will get this off their record. This will create better futures for many New Jerseyans who have been busted for a tiny amount of marijuana. So please vote, and do not vote for Kim Guadagno, because we'll have just more of the same. Please vote. Thank you.
Well, she's not going to have a chance. I'm predicting.
I really hope you're right. But still, regardless, if too many people have that attitude and are like,
Oh, I know. I'd like to
hey,
see there's odds somewhere. Somewhere there actually is betting odds. There always is. You can in England or
even Vegas. Yeah.
Probably even in Vegas, there's odds on who will be elected.
Yeah. But if too many people say,
But you
"Oh,
gotta-
Phil
yeah.
Murphy's got this in
You
the
know,
bag," if too many people say that,
Yeah, don't trust the media.
I got to tell you though,
don't
I-
be complacent.
Well, listen, we got to end the show because my
Sorry,
phone's
you're
about
right.
to die. So, Honeybee, can you please take us home?
All right. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will
We'll remember them.